2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
In the right place, the Infinity Sports Network.
And welcome. It's Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. A very happy Thursday to you. Thank you for making us a part of your evening. So the big news we learned earlier on Wednesday was DK Metcalf has officially requested a trade. He wants out of Seattle. And seemingly by all reports, Seattle's okay with that. All right, we're going to shop him. So now that DK Metcalf is firmly on the block and expected to be traded, I think the team that should be the most aggressive in getting him is the Green Bay Packers. They are a playoff caliber team that have a million different receivers on their roster, but no true number one guy. And so you bring DK Metcalf and you get that alpha dog out there on the outside, that no doubt about it, one of the best receivers in the league, that obviously adds juice to your offense. But I think at the same time, not only will it make the offense and the receiver room better, it's also going to help make Jordan Love better. This was a guy last year who regressed, right? Who did not have the same confidence and swagger and success that we saw in the second half of the 2023 season. Statistically, all his numbers went down in 2024 compared to 2023. His decision-making was shaky. You watch him, whether it's in the Eagles postseason game, whether it's really at any point during the regular season. I know he's a little bit banged up and that had something to do with it, but still, you saw a guy that lacked confidence, that wasn't really sure sometimes where to go with the football, if he trusted himself or his receivers to make a play. Now, I think part of that is, again, what we kind of just said, the lack of trust of having that true go-to number one receiver. I think that partly impacted how Love played in 2024. So if you can bring DK in, not only, again, would he be the best receiver clearly on your roster, I think he would help come in and restore the confidence, bring back the swagger in Jordan Love that we saw nearly go into San Francisco 2 years ago and beat the 49ers in the division round of the playoffs. That Jordan Love is in there. We didn't see him really at all in 2024. DK comes into Green Bay. I think he brings that back in 2025. And there's a track record of that happening. Good, talented receivers going to a team with a young, inexperienced quarterback and really helping make them better. When A.J. Brown went from Tennessee to Philadelphia, look how Jalen Hurts improved. It was a night and day in terms of passing game and how Jalen Hurts played once he got a true bona fide number one receiver on the outside in A.J. Brown. I think even a more extreme and obvious example, going back to 2020, was when the Bills traded for Stephon Diggs. And you saw right then and there, starting in that 2020 season, how different and how much better and more consistent Josh Allen was once he had that go-to receiver he could trust. So I think now, when you look at it from Green Bay's perspective, I think you can expect a similar outcome as those two receivers go to those two spots and helping those two quarterbacks in Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. You can expect the same thing to happen to your team and your quarterback in 2025 if you're able to get DK Metcalf. I think when I heard this news today that DK wants out, Packers immediately came to my mind and said, that's a team that's got to go get him. They got to be the most aggressive. Now, with that said, it's not going to be easy. Because you look at DK Metcalf and the market, there's going to be a lot of competition out there. A lot of teams bidding to bring DK to their team. And there's a reason for it. Not only just his talent, but when you look at this entire offseason, whether it's the free agent class, whether it's even guys on the trade block as well, DK Metcalf, to me, is the most impactful player that will change teams this offseason. There's a few reasons why I say that. Number one is production. This is a guy that's produced his entire career. 6 years in the league, 900 yards at least in all 6 seasons. Right? He's a walking mismatch. The guy's a freak. He's huge. He's fast. He's strong. Like, you could put him inside. You want to put him outside. It does not matter. He has great hands. He can run any route. Like, this guy is so tough to cover. He is so consistent every single year. Part of that consistency also is health, right? Like, you need, if you're going to pay a guy big money to be out there, you need him out there as often as possible. In 6 years in the league, DK Metcalf has missed a grand total of 3 games. That's it. Every single year, that guy's out there battling, playing, and producing. And now that he's on the trade block, you're trading for a 27-year-old receiver. Not 30, not 32, 27, prime of his career. So you got a guy who consistently produces, who's been healthy, who's right in the middle of the prime of his career. And when you look at the price it's going to take to acquire him, it's pretty easy to stomach. Mike Florio, amongst other reporters as well, was kind of floating out what they believe the price tag could be in terms of what draft compensation a team would have to give it to Seattle to go get DK Metcalf. The most common draft pick I've seen, 3rd round pick. That's it. A 3rd round pick, a pick that's in the 90s to go get a consistent beast of receiver on your team. And the only other thing you have to do with DK Metcalf, on top of trading for him, you're going to have to give him a new deal. He's going to the last year of his deal. He got $24 million a year from Seattle. Part of the reason for the trade is to get a better contract. Seattle was going to pay him. Plenty of teams will. But like, if we're talking, okay, what do you expect DK Metcalf to get in a new contract? Jamar Chase is out there. I think he could get $40 million. Right now, Justin Jefferson, highest paid receiver at 35. I think it's fair to say DK Metcalf can expect a $30 million a year contract. So what was that? Let's just say 4 for 120, right? Kind of keep numbers the same or keep numbers even. It's pretty manageable. For receivers, $30 million a year is a pretty good bargain, I would say, when you look at the position and where guys like Jamar Chase are about to get paid as well. So when you add it all up, right? This guy produces. He's healthy. Prime of his career. Only going to take a 3rd round pick to acquire him. I think the $30 million a year price tag you'd have to pay in an extension is pretty easy to stomach. And again, I think this could be a guy that to me is similar to A.J. Brown in the sense of he was solid in his first place, right? A.J. Brown was a solid receiver in Tennessee. DK Metcalf was a really good receiver in Seattle. But I think they could take their game to the next level with their second team, where A.J. Brown goes to an offense and all of a sudden, boom, he's one of the most uncoverable top 5 receivers in the league in Philly. I think we could see a similar boom here with DK if he goes to a team like Green Bay, if he goes to a team like the Chargers, for example, right? A lot of teams that have talented quarterbacks or talented offensive players around them, now you put this already talented receiver in that situation, I think they take off and have more production and are more dominant than we've already seen in what has been a pretty solid career so far. So that, to me, when you add it all up, that's why I call right now DK Metcalf, for looking at this entire offseason, the most impactful player that will change teams this season, or this offseason, I should say, because I think price, production, everything else, you add it all up, it is the one where you can get a guy, impact your team, but also not pay the price for it. Like Myles Garrett, right? I think will be traded. I don't care what the Browns say and how publicly they say we're not trading him, we're keeping him. They're trading him. The only question is when and to who. But the thing with Myles Garrett is while Garrett is a better player than DK Metcalf is, Garrett's also going to be pricey in terms of what you got to give up draft capital-wise and also what you got to pay him. We saw Max Crosby today get an extension. He becomes the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history, $35.5 million a year. I'm going to assume Myles Garrett's new deal is going to surpass that. So we're talking $36 million a year for Myles Garrett, who's a little bit older. And if you trade for him, I mean, we're talking at least one first-round pick. What, a first and a second-round pick? 2 firsts? Is that crazy? I don't think it's crazy. You're giving up a lot more draft capital to get Myles Garrett than you would get DK Metcalf. So if you're a contender, let's say the Bills, right? If they trade for Myles Garrett, great addition. They need him. But also, again, with the salary you're paying him at and the draft capital you have to give up, it does make it a little bit tougher to build your team. Tee Higgins, I think, is a very talented receiver. I think he should, and we'll talk about this in a little bit here on the show, as it is Ryan Hickey with right here on the Infinity Sports Network. I think it's in the Bengals' best interest to trade Tee Higgins. Very talented receiver. You can't afford to pay Chase, Higgins, Trey Hendrickson, try to figure out an offensive line, try to improve that defense. There's too many guys for the Bengals to pay. I think we could see Tee Higgins traded. If that's the case, again, you're giving up probably more draft capital than it would take to acquire DK. And I think T can go for a little bit more money, but even if it's the same ballpark, Tee Higgins has been a guy that's been more banged up than DK has been. You know, Tee Higgins only played one full season in his career. It was back in his rookie year in 2020. Every other year, he's missed time with injuries. You know, we just saw a receiver actually get traded over the weekend in Deebo Samuel. Metcalf, to me, is a way better receiver right now than Deebo is. Look at the free agent quarterbacks that are out there. Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Fields, Kirk Cousins, I think, will eventually get cut. Like, any of those quarterbacks, no matter where they go, how big of an impact are they having? I would say minimal. They're not taking many teams to the playoffs. They're not turning the fortunes of a franchise around. They're not taking a playoff team and turning them into a Super Bowl contender. They're not taking a mediocre team and turning them into a playoff team. Like, there are a lot of big names in the free agent market on the trade block. But when you add production, what you have to get up to get the player, what you have to pay the player, along with health as well, I don't think we're going to see a more impactful player switch teams this offseason than DK Metcalf. And this is a guy that I think 3/4 of the league, when you actually go through it, could use his services and try to trade for him. So I think it's going to be a bidding war. I think there's going to be a lot of teams interested in having DK on their team in 2025. The team for me that should be the most aggressive in landing him, it's the Packers. They should do whatever it takes to get DK Metcalf on their team, because I think it not only makes their receiver room better, makes the overall team better. I think it can really help Jordan Love get back to that 2023 version, that 2023 second half version of Jordan Love we saw carry Green Bay into the postseason and nearly go to the NFC title game. That guy was not here last year. I think the presence of DK Metcalf, having a number one receiver, a bona fide guy you can trust, helps bring that Jordan Love back out. So I want to hear your thoughts here at 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. There's no denying the production of DK Metcalf. There's no denying the need for teams at wide receiver. When you look at his age, when you look at, again, what he brings to the table and the amount of teams, whether they're bad teams like the Patriots or playoff contenders like the Packers and the Chargers that need a receiver, who would you say right now is the team that needs DK Metcalf the most? 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. You also can tweet me, Ryan_Hickey3 on Twitter here as well. What team needs DK Metcalf the most? We'll get your thoughts because we have a call here on the line. I want to get to a break and we'll get to this on the other side here. We have a very interesting already first location of where DK could go. We'll get to that. And also when we do return here on the show, we saw earlier on Wednesday the Chiefs trade one of their best offensive linemen in Joe Thuney to the Bears. Is it time to be concerned about the Chiefs in 2025? Are they due for a step back next season? We will discuss when we do return. This is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're in the right place. The Infinity Sports Network.
It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. A very happy Thursday to you. Starting this show off here by discussing which team needs DK Metcalf the most. Came out on Wednesday. Metcalf has requested a trade away from the Seahawks. Seems like the Seahawks will oblige that trade request, and DK's going to be on the move this offseason. I think for him, when you look at all the wide receiver needy teams, the one that should be the most aggressive here in going after DK is the Green Bay Packers, where they have a bunch of solid contributors. You know, Jaden Reed's a guy that I like coming out of Michigan State, and he's a playmaker. They just don't give him the ball that often. Maybe it's partly his size as well in terms of being a true number one guy. But they have a bunch of receivers that are okay to decent. No solid number one guy. Jordan Love's still going to now year number 3. Still young, trying to get him, his footing down. I think you bring DK Metcalf in and makes your quarterback better, makes your team better. And that's a team that was a playoff team, right? Obviously last year, I think in the hardest division in the NFL, in the NFC North. It's only going to get harder now as the Bears finally got their you-know-what together after firing Matt Eberflus. I think to me it makes the most sense for the Packers, first and foremost here, go get DK, bring him on your team, and do whatever it takes. But it's going to be tough. There are a lot of teams out there, and that's why I'm asking you at 855-212-4227. The team that needs DK Metcalf the most is who? 855-212-4227. You can also tweet me, Ryan_Hickey3 on Twitter. 5 minutes from now, because we just teased it last segment, trust we're going to get to it here. The Chiefs. Is it actually time? Because I feel like people, kind of like the Patriots, right? Predict the downfall of the Chiefs. Are they really that good? Are they going to get got there with all these close games? How good are they? Is there actual concern for the Chiefs after they lose one of their all-pros in Joe Thuney, trading him away because they can't afford to keep him on the offensive line early on Wednesday? Is there a real reason that maybe the Chiefs are set up here to go backwards in 2025? We will discuss that, but there are a lot of teams that I saw on social media, a lot of teams I saw people talking about, right? DK Metcalf, where he should get traded to. This one I did not see. So let's go out to Dallas here at 855-212-4227 and talk to Danelle. What's up, Danelle?
Hi.
Hey.
Hey, I think that the Saints or the Rams should pick up DK Metcalf. I say the Saints. I am biased. I am a Saints fan. The Saints, with Rashid Shaheed being a punt returner, kick returner, he's got great hands and, he's a little bit on the smaller side, but I think that the Saints really only have Chris Olave, and I think that picking up DK Metcalf would definitely be a steal for the Saints.
I would agree. Let me ask you this, Danelle, because if you think about it from DK Metcalf's perspective, he's got to want to go there. Here's your chance on national radio as a Saints fan. Let's just pretend I'm DK Metcalf. Why should I want to go to the Saints?
I think that it's a great, it's a great environment down there, and I honestly think, the team, it doesn't look very good, but I feel like if he can come in, it'll definitely be something where, just building blocks to success. You know what I mean?
Oh, Danelle, that's your best argument? It doesn't look good. No crap, it doesn't look good right now. You're going to have teams like the Chargers interested, the Bills interested, the Packers interested. Why would he even pick up a call from New Orleans if they call him saying, hey, DK, what do you think about the Saints?
I think that, it's just something where, it comes down to, what offer can you take that, you see as a future thing, you know what I mean?
How can they even pay him to now?
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to get into was just restructuring, and with the Saints salary cap, I think that if they can restructure some players, maybe they can give him a call and, just pulling him in. But my second candidate was the Rams, with Cooper Kupp. I feel like
now we're talking a little more realistic to now. Now we're venturing into the right territory.
Yeah, I think that they could definitely use DK Metcalf, and they could pull him in since they're losing Cooper Kupp. I don't watch too much of the Rams, especially after the NFC Championship game.
Wow.
With the Saints and the Rams. But if they could pull him in, I think that would definitely be a great substitution for Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Danelle. Thank you for making that. I will say it's a good thing I'm not DK Metcalf, and it's a good thing that you are not the Saints spokesman, because that pitch, I wouldn't even make it through the first 5 seconds. Boom, the phone is done. Over. No, there's no Saints. Already talking about having a restructure. For those that don't know, the NFL salary cap was released recently. The Saints right now, in terms of salary cap room, as the league year starts next year, the Saints are 32nd, aka the worst in the league in terms of cap space. They are right now $54 million over the cap. They got to cut a bunch of guys. I don't even know how much restructure you could do to be able to get that low. You got to make a lot of trimming of the fat here just to be able to be cap compliant, just to be able to breathe. And then you're going to create, an extra $30 million or so to bring DK in? Then what? He's going to catch passes from Derek. Why do you want to catch passes from Derek Carr? We can catch passes from Jordan Love or Justin Herbert or Josh Allen or 15 other quarterbacks. I think you'd rather have throwing balls to you than Derek Carr. This is a guy in DK Metcalf, remember, coming from Seattle, who caught a bunch of balls from Geno Smith recently. When he's getting traded, I think he's looking for an upgrade, not a downgrade. He's not chasing the money. He's looking to win. The Saints right now are nowhere close to winning. No siree. A team that maybe we can already eliminate from the DK Metcalf sweepstakes could be one team residing in the Northeast. So DK Metcalf recently was actually on the Casuals podcast that is hosted by Katie Nolan. She asked him about his thoughts about playing for the Patriots. Take a listen to what DK had to say about that.
I think you would really like living in Massachusetts. Do you agree, you think?
No.
What? You couldn't see yourself ever living in Massachusetts?
Look at how long it's taking you to say the word. No. No, it's not a desirable place in my opinion. I said great organization.
Yes, of course.
Great organization.
Some may say the best. Massachusetts would be so happy to have.
Let's be on their payroll because you pushing them hard.
Damn. Out on the Patriots, out on Massachusetts, not because it's too cold, not because the team's not ready to win, but because Massachusetts is a mouthful. So this is where, I do like clowning Bill Belichick, and obviously I'm not a Patriots, I'm not a Patriots fan, so obviously I don't want to see them succeed, but this is one where I would love to see how Bill Belichick would react to that, because I think if he was still the Patriots coach, there's no doubt about it, Massachusetts is getting a redo as a name. He would go to the governor, go to whoever it took to say, if we're not getting players because the name is too damn long, Massachusetts, we're cutting off half of it. Now we're just going to be Mass. That's it. Call us Mass. The Massachusetts is dead. Whatever it takes. I think Bill Belichick's one of those guys that would look at that. But in all seriousness, I say all seriousness, then DK Metcalf saying Massachusetts is too long. Why'd I go there? But I don't think he's going to go to the Patriots. In part, again, I think the biggest thing DK Metcalf is looking for, and this has been reported on Wednesday as well, he's looking to go to a winner. And while Drake May did show some promising signs last year and played a lot better than I thought he would, Patriots right now are nowhere near close to competing for the playoffs or a Super Bowl. That team still has a long way to go in terms of building their roster to where they can compete. They need an offensive line overhaul. They absolutely need 2 or 3 receivers. The defense is solid, but still can use some pieces here as well. So they're not like a player or two away from making the leap from where they are now to a playoff team or a playoff team to a Super Bowl contender. I think that's what DK is looking for. That ain't the Patriots. 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with right here on the Infinity Sports Network. The team that needs DK Metcalf the most as he's requested a trade away from the Seahawks is 855-212-4227. You can also tweet me, Ryan_Hickey3 on Twitter. Okay. Before we get back to your DK thoughts here, let's talk about a team that I'm sure everybody outside of Kansas City is praying on their fall. And that's the Kansas City Chiefs. When you look at the news that happened Wednesday, with the trade of Joe Thuney, I look at this Chiefs team as the most vulnerable they have been in the Patrick Mahomes era. Because there's right now real concern about the state of the offensive line. And as we just saw in the last game in the Super Bowl, if you can't block, you can't win. I don't care who your quarterback is, how great Patrick Mahomes is. If you can't give him time, you can't win games. And that offensive line got abused in the Super Bowl, and now it is getting worse before it gets better. Joe Thuney is an all-pro player. He's an all-pro guard who slid out to tackle because of injuries and depth issues and played great up until the Super Bowl. He played there for about 6-7 weeks. The only thing you heard about him was good. And again, for offensive line, you really don't hear that much about them unless they're playing poorly. Thuney did a great job. So this is a great get by the Bears, no doubt about it. But now when you look at the Chiefs going into free agency for 2025, they had some cap problems, which is why they traded Joe Thuney. They couldn't afford to keep him after they franchise tagged their other guard, Trey Smith. And so the left side of the line for the Chiefs, their tackle and their guard, it's a problem. It's an absolute problem. And barring an unexpected trade that no one sees coming, that left side of the line, the blind side for Patrick Mahomes, it's not going to get better in 2025. There's already a little bit of a plan out there for what the Chiefs could do to shore it up. Kingsley Su'Matai is a guy they drafted in the second round last year out of BYU. They drafted him to be their left tackle. They plugged a rookie left tackle in, and it did not go well. He got benched during the season. They slid him in to play one game at guard in the Week 18 game, and that's about it. But this is a guy who's played tackle his entire college career, tried to play tackle last year, did not work. They're going to slide him into guard. So now Kingsley, a second-year player, is now going to switch positions to try to go inside to guard. That's a question mark, number one. And then that means they have to go somewhere to find a left tackle, probably in free agency. Look at the free agent options for the Chiefs when it comes to left tackle. You can try to get Ronnie Stanley, who's a very talented player, when he's healthy. That's the problem. He's never healthy. This is a guy who over the last 5 years of his career has missed 36 games. Now, to his credit, the healthiest season he had was just in 2024. But out of his 9 years he's been in the league, 2024 was the only year he was fully healthy. So when you have a 9-year sample size, 8 out of the 9 years, you're banged up, missing time, and some years significant time. I mean, you tell me, was 2024 the anomaly or the rule going forward? I'm going to assume 2024 of playing a full season was the anomaly. Ronnie Stanley is talented, but this guy, as we've seen, unfortunately, a few times now, is very injury prone. That's a question mark. Cam Robinson, former Vikings left tackle, decent. He's fine. Placeholder, but he's not going to exactly be your left tackle. You put him in there and say, okay, Mahomes, don't worry about your blind side. You're good. Not there at all. And I doubt in the draft they're going to go try to get a rookie left tackle for the second year in a row. So you're the best quarterback in the league. Looking at his blind side with a guy playing out of position at guard, who's still a very young player, and a left tackle situation that's probably going to be patchwork. That's concerning. There's real vulnerability there. And that's why I feel like going into 2025, again, barring an unexpected trade that nobody sees coming, this does feel like the most gettable the Chiefs have been since Mahomes became the starter in 2018. Now, teams got to do it. Right? I thought the Ravens were poised 2 years ago at home in the AFC title game to do it. I thought at times the Bills were poised to finally break through and beat the Chiefs in the postseason. You got to do it. So when you look at it, it's kind of one of those things where I'll believe it when I see it. But on paper, at least, when you look at the trajectory of where this team is going and the actual just pure talent on the Chiefs at one of the most important positions, offensive line, keeping your $500 million quarterback upright and healthy, there's some questions there. And for a guy that's dominated the league since day one he became a full starter, Patrick Mahomes, who's now been in 7 straight AFC title games, this to me feels like by far the most gettable, the most vulnerable the Chiefs have been here in the Patrick Mahomes era. This is your chance. Bills, Ravens, Chargers, if the Bengals can figure their stuff out, this is your chance to go get them. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We're also talking here to start the show, the best landing, or I should say the team that needs DK Metcalf the most. I think for me, it's the Packers. There's going to be a lot of teams interested here in trying to get DK Metcalf services. Who do you think is the team that needs DK the most? 855-212-4227. Also, again, on Twitter, Ryan_Hickey3. This is an interesting one. Let's go to Philly Mac here calling from Massachusetts. What's up, Philly?
Hey, first of all, my friend, is this now your permanent slot? I know things have been in transition. Is this your spot now?
Philly, have you been listening the last, 2 months? Month?
Well, no, the last 2 weeks I was dealing with an infection, nasal infection. So
Jeez, my apologies, Philly. No, okay, sir. So I'm here tonight and tomorrow. This has been a rotating slot right now, so nothing.
I remember you saying that 2 weeks ago, but I wasn't sure because I haven't really been calling it. Okay, so here's my point. If I was Metcalf, because you covered a few different angles there. Mm-hmm. So the Patriots, yes, but they would have to pay him mad money. He's still an elite guy. He's right there, all those things. He's used to weather, Northeast, Seattle, whatever. The team that needs him and could utilize him the best, I agree with you, Green Bay. Philadelphia is thinking about it.
Phil, what? Where would he play?
Philadelphia has proven they'll spend money and shift guys around and do whatever they need to make that receiving curve even stronger.
The Eagles?
Green Bay is that spot.
They don't need another receiver. They don't. Philly, I appreciate the call. That's one spot we can absolutely rule out. He's not, at that point, seriously, there's not enough footballs to go around. They are a running team first. You had Saquon Barkley rush for over 2,000 yards. And when you include the playoffs, Saquon Barkley ran for the most yards of any running back in NFL history in a season, along with the ability for Jalen Hurts to run the football. Then, by the way, you already have one of the best wide receiver duos in A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. They just re-signed Zach Bond. They can add a few other, they're going to have to kind of revamp their defensive line, especially their defensive ends. No, they are, again, not many teams can say, hey, we don't need DK Metcalf, we're good. The Eagles are one of the very few that say, we're good. Probably them and the Dolphins, honestly. You could probably put as the only two teams that if DK called, they would probably turn that phone call down. That's to even think about it. I mean, the Eagles did not even cross my mind. They are a team that has no holes, has plenty of great wide receivers, has just great offense. I think they are wiser to spend their money and resources elsewhere on top of adding another great receiver that will not get the ball anywhere near. He's hoping to get it. By the way, same thing with A.J. Brown. He already gets mad about not getting the ball enough. I will say that maybe we can see some fireworks on the sideline. Maybe DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown can start a book club when they're both frustrated that the ball's not going to them because Saquon's running for another 2,000 yards. It'll be fun to see. I'll sign up for that, but otherwise, no. 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. The team that needs DK Metcalf the most, that is what we were talking here. We'll also, when we do return here, hit on some quick hitters, including, we got a bunch of NFL news on Wednesday, including a piece of news we got a few hours ago. And that is the Chargers are releasing Joey Bosa out there for anyone to sign. What can you expect? Is Joey Bosa worth bringing in? I'll tell you why. For me, the answer is no. We'll get that after we get the latest sports update from Marco Belletti.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Ryan, we're sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with our easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. Raiders trying to turn things around, and obviously Max Crosby's going to be a big part of that plan. Vegas giving Crosby a 3-year extension, $106.5 million. It includes $91.5 million in guaranteed money. Makes him the highest-paid non-quarterback in the NFL, but Crosby vowing that money won't affect him.
It doesn't change my approach. You know what I mean? I'm still going to be here same time every single day and put the work in. That's just a byproduct of, the sacrifice that we do on a daily basis. So when I'm retired, whenever that day is, maybe go on a couple more vacations. But for the time being, I'm focused on being the best on the planet at what I do.
Chargers saving about $25 million on the cap by reportedly releasing 5-time Pro Bowler Joey Bosa. DK Metcalf reportedly asking the Seahawks for a trade, while Seattle also released 10-year veteran Tyler Lockett. Cowboys able to free up $36.6 million off the cap, restructuring the contract of Dak Prescott. NBA, Peyton Pritchard with a career night.
Peyton Pritchard's played 38 minutes. Stop and start. Goes to the left hand. Scores off the window, and it's a first career 40-point game for Peyton Pritchard.
Peyton Pritchard with 43 in all. Derek White added a career high 41 as they became the first teammates in Celtics history to surpass 40 points in the same game as Boston down the Blazers 128-118. Call courtesy of the Celtics Radio Network. Rest of your scores, Cavs pushed their win streak to 12, outlast the Heat 112-107 as Cleveland the first to clinch a playoff spot. James Harden poured in 50. Clippers erased the Pistons 123-115. Thunder disposed of the Grizzlies 120-103. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with 41. Bucks dominate the Mavericks 137-107. Giannis Antetokounmpo at 32, eclipsing 20,000 career points. Nuggets rallied by the Kings 116-110. T-Wolves ripped the Hornets 125-110. And the Wizards got past the Jazz 125-122. College hoops, Ole Miss stunned fourth-ranked Tennessee 78-76. Florida outlasted Alabama 99-94. Maryland topped Michigan 71-65. Texas Tech knocked off Colorado 91-75. Louisville overpowered Cal 85-68, while Oklahoma surprised Missouri 96-84. And Alex Ovechkin, goal number 885 in his career, 10 away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's all-time record. Capitals outlast the Rangers 3-2 in overtime. I'm Marco Belletti.
855-212-4227. That's the number to get in touch with us, the Infinity Sports Network. Give us a call, 855-212-4227.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're in the right place. The Infinity Sports Network.
Oh, yes, you are. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. 15 minutes from now, we're talking a lot of receivers, especially right now, talking DK Metcalf and his future. Because he will be traded from the Seattle Seahawks. He requested a trade earlier on Wednesday. The Seahawks are willing to grant that. So we're talking the team that needs DK Metcalf the most at 855-212-4227. But 15 minutes from now, there's a receiver that did not request a trade that I think the team is a very talented receiver in their best interest to trade him. I'll tell you who and why here. Top of the hour or so from now. We'll get back to your thoughts on DK in 1 second here at 855-212-4227. The team that needs the former Seahawks receiver, the two-time Pro Bowler, the most is who? 855-212-4227. Before we get to DK here, let's stay on the West Coast a little bit because we got news earlier, a few hours ago, actually, that Joey Bosa of the Los Angeles Chargers has been released. That's a big name, right? Obviously, brother of Nick, guy that was super productive, came out with a lot of hype, early pick in the draft. But now that he's been released by the Chargers, and now you look at where he's going to go from here, this is a guy to me that if you're a team that wants to bring him in, you have to have low expectations. Like, you're bringing in Joey Bosa, and you're thinking, we're buying low, and I hope to sell high. Because you can't sign Joey Bosa right now and expect him to be the finishing piece or the cornerstone of your defensive line because he's not available enough. He's not around enough. You know, it's the old cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason. Your best ability is your availability. One of Joey Bosa's worst abilities is his availability. Bill Barnwell, excellent NFL reporter for ESPN. He put this out there when this news broke. He compiled the numbers. Over the last 3 seasons, Joey Bosa has missed a total of 23 games, roughly about 8 per season. But he goes deeper than that. 3 other games, in addition to the 23 games missed by Bosa, he left early. On top of that, 10 other games in which Joey Bosa played under 50% of the snaps because of an injury. So when you add it all up, the last 3 seasons, Joey Bosa has played a grand total of 17 games where you basically get the full Bosa experience, where he's healthy, out there, and playing most of the snaps. You got 1 full season out of 3 where you got the full thing from Joey Bosa, the full expectation, the full package. How the hell can you expect to bring him in and get this big-time production from a guy that's not been available? He's not magically becoming healthier. You know, in the NFL, it's not how it works. You don't get healthier as you get older. So a guy that struggled in his early to mid-20s to stay healthy. I don't think now in his late 20s, entering his early 30s, like this is a guy that's going to be around, or I'm sure that's going to be healthier and available. You have to sign him on a low deal, expect average production, and if you get anything more than that, it's a win. The talent is there. The name is still big. Obviously, the last name is huge in the NFL circles. But at this point, Joey Bosa can't stay in the field. Can't expect much from him here. That's one where you see the release and it's like, wow, Bosa out there. We should go get him. Think twice. Because while the idea of Joey Bosa on your team sounds great, the reality has been, and the Chargers saw this, he's more in sweatsuits on the sideline than he is in full uniform getting after the quarterback. Just remember that if you want to go after him here this offseason. 855-212-4227. The opposite of Joey Bosa, though. Consistently productive, prime-time age, always healthy, is DK Metcalf. And that's why I think when you look at now the fact that he's available via trade, and reportedly it's only about going to cost teams about a third or fourth round pick to go get DK Metcalf. I mean, there's like 3/4 of the league out there that should be trying to get DK on their team. The team for me that should be the most aggressive in getting him is the Packers. I think he helps Jordan Love. He comes in, becomes that number one guy, right? The Packers, as we saw, have a playoff caliber roster. He improves that. In an NFC, by the way, that sneakily is very deep. Eagles, 49ers, I think, are going nowhere. Lions are going nowhere. The Vikings, I think, may take a slight dip down, but I think they're still a playoff team. The Rams are there. Like, you look, there's 6, 7, 8 teams that are playoff caliber that could sneak up on you and get you in the postseason. I think it behooves the Packers the most to go get him, do whatever it takes to get him on your team and help make your quarterback, Jordan Love, that much better, that much more consistent here in 2025. But 855-212-4227. What team do you think needs DK Metcalf the most? Let's go out to Baltimore, talk to Corey. What's up, Corey?
What's happening with you, big guy?
How we doing, Steb? What's on your mind, man?
When that came to mind, it's 2 landing spots I can sit up there and see them. The Harbaugh brothers. One, the Chargers. Justin Herbert, he ain't had a number one since Keenan Allen and Mike Williams left. So I can see him over there in San Diego. And plus, they got the money. So they'll pay him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a Ravens fan at all. But to see him paired up with Lamar and that big beast that's in the backfield, man, that'll be a lot. That's a lot. Then you got
and you know what's also good about that fit in Baltimore, Corey, is the fact that you know what's good about that fit in Baltimore too, and appreciate the call, Corey, is the fact that DK Metcalf would fit that culture. Right? Like the Ravens, even if they acquired DK Metcalf, it's still a run-first offense, right? With Lamar and Derrick Henry. But you watch DK, he's a physical blocker, he's a physical player. I think he would fit into that culture perfectly. I like the Harbaugh brothers additions. I think right now, or suggestion I should say, I think in terms of those 2 teams, the Chargers are the team that should be more desperate to get DK. That's a team where I do think they need more skill talent. And please, the less footballs that go to Quentin Johnston, the better. I think I can speak for everybody when I say that, right? Whether you're a Chargers fan or not, I'm sure you got burned by him in fantasy or gambling. That's been a guy that's been notorious for hurting a lot of people with drops. The less balls to Quentin Johnston, the better. Bring DK in, get Justin Herbert. That you could say he had a number one in Keenan Allen, and I get it. Keenan Allen for the longest time. Oh, he's always the most underrated receiver in the NFL. It's been a tag on him for a while. He's 10 times better than Keenan Allen. Also, again, more available than Keenan Allen. That'd be the true first number one receiver Justin Herbert would have in his career. And coming off that playoff game we saw him playing in Houston, yeah, he needs help, no doubt about it. 855-212-4227. Let's go down to Texas. Talk to Kevin. What's up, Kev?
Yeah, man, I think we need him. I think, we could probably convince him pretty easy.
Who's we?
Got a Cowboys. Cowboys, I'm sorry.
You think you could convince DK Metcalf easily to go to your team?
Oh, sure. We got a quarterback that's going to make him look like an all-pro. Every pass is going to be, off target. It's going to be outside of his catch radius, so it's going to make him look really good.
Okay.
Make him work hard and make him look good when he catches those passes. Plus, being down by 7 to 14 points, every game in the third and fourth quarter, he's going to get a lot of trash time receptions and receiving yards.
That's true.
So, so that's a bonus. And you got an owner that's going to pay him $25 million a year for 3 years, guarantee it all. So he can go out and buy a Lombardi if he wants one that bad.
And then, too, Kevin, Jerry Jones will wait as long as possible to pay him, so other receivers around him will get paid and just raise the price. Then when it's time to get paid again in like 2 or 3 years, Jerry will be his best agent because, now the new price tag's $45 million because you waited an extra year or so. So now here's $50.
Well, and I think your best bet after we keep him for a year or two is go ahead and trade him for Bosa. And
Kevin, we had Donnell call from Texas earlier to pitch the Saints. He did a terrible job. A+ from you for that sales job for the Cowboys. I appreciate it. You're right. DK, if he wants targets, he wants yards, he wants highlight reel plays. Dak's his quarterback. The Cowboys losing most of these games and trailing the team for him. Now you got Brian Schottenheimer calling the plays. Can't imagine that goes well, and I can't imagine that Cowboys team is very much successful. And again, when you have an owner in Jerry Jones who said earlier today, all right, we're not going to be aggressive in free agency, so we're just going to try to draft guys, and we're just going to pay the ones we have. And because he's so slow in seeing the market and getting out ahead and paying guys earlier because that saves you money, DK goes to Dallas. Jerry's going to wait. And that payday is only going to go up for DK. Kev, great call. That was very funny. 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Thank you for making us a part of your Thursday. When we return, we'll continue to talk about the best destinations for DK Metcalf. And also, speaking of receivers on the move, the Bengals this week franchise tagged Tee Higgins. I'm going to explain why when we do come back here in 5 minutes. Why it's in the Bengals' best interest to trade Tee Higgins. We'll do that here when we do return. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Place, the Infinity Sports Network.
And welcome in. It is Ryan Hickey with you here on this Thursday. A happy Thursday to you. Thank you for joining us on the Infinity Sports Network. Appreciate you choosing us here. Have some fun with. It's been a fun show so far. A very busy show on this Wednesday. Did not see all this NFL news coming down. That is for sure. It's been a busy week as really the busiest time hasn't even started yet. Right, next week is when free agency actually starts. When moves can actually be made, when signings can happen, when teams can talk to players and trades could be official. We already got a trade once this week with Deebo Samuel. We got some other moves here being made as well. And the big thing this week that happened was the franchise tag deadline. Only 2 players got tagged, a low for, first time that's happened in a long time here. Trey Smith of the Chiefs, their guard, and the other for the second year in a row, Tee Higgins. Got tagged by the Cincinnati Bengals. I think at this point, right, the Bengals have 2 options. Extend Tee Higgins or trade Tee Higgins. I look at it from this perspective. The Bengals paying Tee Higgins, I think, hurts them more than helps them. Right, let's just play this game. Let's just pretend the Bengals come to a contract extension with Tee Higgins. Fair to say about $30 million he'll get a year, right? Fair, good receiver. That's kind of the going rate a little bit. So $30 million, let's say, for Tee Higgins. Jamar Chase, I think, is getting 40. He's blowing this out of the water. No doubt about it. A guy who should have got paid last year, didn't, goes out, wins a triple crown. Right now, the highest paid receiver is Justin Jefferson at $35 million a year. I think Jamar Chase is getting 40. So I think we're looking at 2 receivers for the Cincinnati Bengals making $70 million per year. You can't justify that if you're the Bengals. You can't justify paying $70 million to one position when you have so many other holes. Go back to last year, right? The Bengals missed the playoffs. Why? Was it because their passing attack sucked? It's because everything else around the passing attack stunk. Defense, offensive line, and part coaching as well. Doubling, tripling down on your receiver room and paying them $70 million a year is not getting this team to the playoffs. I think the Bengals are better off trading Tee Higgins and using that $30 million to spread out to improve the rest of the roster. Because you look at it, right? The Bengals going forward here, they need help on their offensive line. They already made one offensive line move to cut one of their guards, Alex Kappa, who did not play very good. So you need money to invest on your offensive line. You need defensive tackle help. You need linebacker help. You need corner help. The whole defense needs to be overhauled for the most part. They have a few key pieces, but otherwise, they need help everywhere. And by the way, one of the few good guys you have in Trey Hendrickson, he wants to get paid. And defensive end, outside of quarterback, outside of receiver, is one of the most expensive positions. So you look at where the Bengals are. What hurt them last year? Like, how can anybody sit here and say, oh, you got to pay Tee Higgins? You can't let him go. What are we talking about? What are you looking at? It's a detriment right now for the Bengals to pay Tee Higgins. When you're already paying Joe Burrow $55 million a year, when you're about to pay Jamar Chase $40 million a year, when Trey Hendrickson, is he going to get 30? Probably $30 million a year. You know, Mike Gesicki was a productive tight end for them last year. He's a free agent. They've talked about wanting to keep him for next season as well. Well, got to pay him then a little bit. It's not going to break the bank in terms of $30 million a year, but still, you need money available to pay him, along with finding other guys, whether it's the draft, whether it's free agency, whether it's making trades to shore up that defense that cost them last season. If the Bengals make the playoffs, I think Joe Burrow wins MVP. That's how good he was. Jamar Chase was great. Higgins had a hell of a year when he was healthy and out there. But again, for how great those three players were, and Trey Hendrickson led the league in sacks, for how great those four individual players were, the Bengals missed the playoffs because everything around those four guys was not very good. Needs to be upgraded. And when you look at where the Bengals are cap space-wise, they have $38 million available. That is 15th most in the league. They are right smack dab in the middle in terms of salary cap flexibility. That's before paying Chase, before upgrading Higgins' contract, before extending Trey Hendrickson. Like, they have so many needs they have to address. They have a stud receiver in Chase. I think at this point, with where the Bengals are, you don't need another. It's roster malpractice to extend Tee Higgins and keep him in Cincinnati. Guy's a great player. But right now, with where the Bengals are, their better resource allocation would be wiser to save that $30 million and spread it over 2 or 3 positions. Get a defensive tackle, get a corner, get a linebacker, combine that for $30 million and pay another receiver. By the way, when you look at trends, right, that's kind of the NFL is a copycat league. Well, look at right now what a trend is in the NFL. Teams that have paid multiple receivers, which the Bengals are attempting to do and paying Tee Higgins and Jamar Chase, for the most part, doesn't work out. There are currently right now 2 teams in the NFL that have 2 receivers making at least $25 million. It's the Dolphins and the Eagles. Expand it a little further. There are 4 teams in the NFL that are paying at least, or I should say last year, at least in 2024 only, that paid 2 receivers at least $20 million a year. Texans did it with Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins. Bucks did it, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. 49ers did it, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. Bears did it as well, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. So when you look at those 4 teams that have at least 2 receivers making $20 million, then add in the Dolphins and the Eagles who have 2 receivers at least making $25 million a year, add it all up, outside of the Eagles, right? Because they are the anomaly in this situation. Dolphins, Texans, Buccaneers, 49ers, Bears equaled, or should say totaled, 1 playoff win. That's it. But you would think in this new era of passing the ball and aerial attack, well, if you have, some great wide receiver duos and you're paying your receivers big bucks, that should equal wins. It hasn't. Ask the Dolphins. Ask the Bears. Ask the 49ers. Ask, Tampa Bay, who lost at home in the playoffs. Paying multiple receivers big bucks does not equate to winning. And again, take the Eagles out of it because they shouldn't really even count with how loaded that team is. They're the anomaly. So if you're the Bengals, you look at, okay, well, most teams paying multiple receivers big money, they haven't gotten to the playoffs. The few that didn't win the playoff game. Like, is it worth it? I think the answer is no. And the last point I'll make here about why I think it's prudent for the Bengals to trade Tee Higgins is the fact that Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks, in the league. He has one of the best receivers, top 2 receiver in the league in Jamar Chase. Part of the reason why you pay Joe Burrow $55 million a year is to make players around him better. That's what greats like Peyton Manning did, Tom Brady. I think even Patrick Mahomes, we're seeing now doing it as well. Part of what makes you great is taking a B- receiver, making him play like an A. Taking a C+ guy and making him play like a B. I think the Bengals have to do that with Joe Burrow. Say, Joe, we can't keep T and Jamar. We're going to pay Jamar, so you're going to have still a stud number 1 receiver to throw the ball to. But now we need you to take our first-round pick as a receiver. We need you to take this, free agent wide receiver we're going to sign. We need you to make him better. We need you to elevate his game. You're great. We know you can do it. Now do it for us. I think it's part of what the Bengals should do here. So I think if you're Cincinnati right now, the best thing that you can do to get yourself back into playoff contention, I still think the Bengals right now are the biggest threat to the Chiefs. They're the only team that's not intimidated by them. I think Joe Burrow is the quarterback that's perfectly built to go pound for pound with Burrow. He goes into Arrowhead, no problem. That team is fearless. I think the best thing for the Bengals here to get back into playoff contention, back into Super Bowl contention, is trading Tee Higgins, using that money that you would pay him, that $30 million you would pay him to revamp your defense, build back up your offensive line, maybe get a first-round pick. If not, I think you can get a second-round pick for Tee Higgins. Use that draft capital again, reallocate it back into the team, and build the rest of the roster around Joe Burrow. Extend Trey Hendrickson, extend Jamar Chase, pay Mike Gesicki, revamp that defense. Do it at the expense of trading Tee Higgins. That, to me, is the best move. Someone disagrees, though, is Joe Burrow, who right after the season ended, he wasted no time. This is literally the Week 18 press conference. The Bengals season is over, and here Joe Burrow is pounding the table and explaining why it is very important for the Bengals to bring back number 5.
You don't want to make a habit of letting great players get out of the building, just like I said earlier in the week. T's a great player and a guy that does everything the right way and works really hard for it. When you have a guy like that, you just can't let him get out of the building. He's a one-of-a-kind person, one-of-a-kind player, and one that we really count on and is an integral part of what we do around here.
I get what Joe Burrow is saying. I get it. But the question I would ask Joe is, well, okay, how good is Tee Higgins if you have nobody blocking for you? Because if you pay T, you pay Jamar Chase, we're not going to be able to afford to put a good offensive line in front of you. You've had 2 season-ending injuries already in your short career. Why risk it? Why do you want 2 great receivers and no one in front blocking? A defense that can't get a stop. Do you want a repeat of 2024, Joe? Because you're getting a repeat of 2024 if you extend Tee Higgins. You want that again? I don't think he wants that again. And there is a track record, by the way, because look, you could say, well, if you trade a receiver, oh my God, a guy of T's talent, are you going to take a step back here with one less receiver? Remember what the Chiefs did a few years ago? They traded at the time a guy who was a top 3 guy, you could argue the best receiver in the league in Tyreek Hill. Traded him. After losing to Cincinnati, traded him to the Dolphins. And what did the Chiefs do after trading Tyreek Hill? Won 2 straight Super Bowls. Bang, bang. Right back, no problem. They traded arguably the best receiver at the time in the league in Tyreek Hill and went right back to the Super Bowl. No questions asked, no problem whatsoever. Chiefs already have shown you, yeah, you could trade an extremely talented guy at a premier position of receiver and still be okay. So there's already a blueprint for the Bengals to show Joe and say, look, all is well. Don't panic here. We got you. I get that's his guy. I get Joe Burrow is right in the sense of you don't want talented guys leaving the building. But you also need help. And sometimes you have to make sacrifices and take 1 step back to take 3 forward. I think by trading Tee Higgins and using that salary he would take up to build the rest of the team, revamp your defense, revamp that offensive line that sorely cost you last season, would help the Bengals take 3 steps forward here ahead. trading Tee Higgins is in the best interest of the Cincinnati Bengals for 2025 and beyond. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. I feel like everywhere, I was on social media a lot, kind of consuming a lot of media this week and last week when there was a lot of discussions about the future Tee Higgins. Everyone I saw, I feel like, said the same thing. Pay T, pay T, pay T. You can't let him go. I think I'm on an island here. I feel like the Bengals are better off by trading him. If you disagree here, if you can make your argument as to why the Bengals are still better off, it's the right move to extend, I think, a really talented receiver Tee Higgins, I want to hear. 855-212-4227. If I could not convince you as to why trading Tee Higgins is in the best interest of Cincinnati, 855-212-4227. Also, you could tweet me on Twitter, obviously, Ryan_Hickey3. And also, how about this? This is fun. We are streaming the show live on YouTube. So we got a little YouTube chat going. You can also, if you want to watch this show live, you can do that. And then there's also have your thoughts heard as well in the YouTube chat, which can be found on the Infinity Sports Network YouTube page. Are the Bengals better off keeping or trading Tee Higgins? 855-212-4227. We also talked, speaking of receiver, a lot in hour number one, in case you're just joining us, about the future of DK Metcalf. In case you didn't hear, he requested a trade away from the Seahawks on Wednesday. Seahawks look like they're going to grant it. So DK Metcalf will be traded at some point this offseason. I think for me, the team that should be the most aggressive in pursuing him are the Green Bay Packers. They need a number one receiver. I think DK's presence can help bring the confidence back of Jordan Love that I think we saw was lost and for the most part of 2024. I think that's a perfect fit for a team that needs him in a very tough division. I think for me, the Packers, who have the cap space and the need as well to bring DK Metcalf in, should be the one who's most aggressive in pursuing him. If you think there's a team that needs DK Metcalf more than the Packers, 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. Let's go to Dakota calling from Jacksonville. You're on the Infinity Sports Network. What's up, Dakota?
Hey, Ryan. How you doing, man?
Good, buddy. What's on your mind?
Good. Not much, man. So on the DK Metcalf subject, out of Jacksonville, Florida, surprisingly enough, I'm a massive Denver Broncos fan. So my thoughts, DK Metcalf opposite of Cortland Sutton, right?
Mm-hmm.
DK, if I'm right, has like a $30 million cap coming with him?
Just about, yeah. But he's also, if you trade for him, you're probably going to extend him, so that number could move depending on, how teams do it. But let's just say, to keep round numbers, keep it simple here, let's just say, yes, $30 million cap hit.
Yeah, so you got 30, and then you got Cortland Sutton that's right around 20, which goes back to your other statement, like with the Bengals, upwards of the 70, which, it wouldn't be there, but a $50 million hit. What do you think? Do you think that Denver would consider something like that, or do you think it'd be a good fit with Bo Nix?
I do.
The kid, he's a rookie, but
right.
He's dang near old enough to retire by now.
Well, that's also true. You're right, but he's been in college for a while. Yes, I think they should go after him. Here's why. I'll explain why it's a little different, Dakota, the Broncos compared to the Bengals. Number one, I think if the Broncos go after DK Metcalf, what you do is you move off of Cortland Sutton. He's older. He's got more tread on the tires. He's had trouble staying healthy at times as well. While he's solid and reliable, you're replacing him with a younger, more reliable, more productive player in DK Metcalf. So I think if you trade for him, you're also moving Cortland Sutton. That's number one. Number two, what's different compared to the Broncos and the Bengals is you don't have a quarterback right now making $55 million a year. You just said it, Bo Nix. Well, he's almost 30 years old. Kind of say that tongue-in-cheek with how long he's in college for. He's on a rookie deal. He just was a rookie. So you still have a cost-controlled contract at the most important position. So while you do bring DK in and have to pay him a pretty hefty salary, you still got a quarterback that makes it flexible enough to where you can bring DK in and also address other areas of your need, other areas that you need on your team. I think DK would be a good fit in Denver. Big body receiver. You could put him over the middle, and that's where Bo Nix is at his best. I made this comp last year, and Bo Nix came out of Oregon, and I think it's so far came out to be true in the first year in Denver was he reminded me a lot of Drew Brees. And I thought he was a perfect fit for the Sean Payton offense because he's, a smaller guy, more mobile. He is a kind of get it out fast, 5-yard curl, 5-yard slant, 10-yard dig out over the middle. Like DK can run a lot of those routes. Now he can also run deep, and I think Bo Nix can throw a good deep ball. But that's a guy that I think would fit what the offense is trying to do, fit them in terms of salary and what they need. I think they should be aggressive. Again, especially for nothing else of the fact that the Chargers need him, right? And that's where if you can get him and he fits your team, and then also at the same time, you take him away from a division rival that also needs a wide receiver, I think it'd be smart by Sean Payton to go after DK Metcalf. I think it'd be a good fit in that Bo Nix offense. 855-212-4227. Let's go north of the border here. A little Canada visit. Let's talk to Glenn. What's up, Glenn?
Hey, Ryan. How you doing, my man?
Good, buddy. What's on your mind?
Well, first off, I mean, the team that really could use him, although this is not what I'm going to tell you about, but it's, and by the way, this team I would think would be ahead of Cincinnati when it comes to a team to knock out Kansas City, considering they beat them, and they should have beat them in the playoff game if it weren't for some certain striped officials on the field. But that's another topic in itself. But the Bills could use them, but they don't have the cap space. I mean, think about MVP Josh Allen without any Pro Bowlers. What would happen if you had a Pro Bowler? But quite frankly, they need more help on defense. So that's
I was just going to say, Glenn, if you're going to make a big splash for the Bills, I would much rather, although I think
Garrett or someone
I was
like
just
that,
going to say, I think they could use a defensive end like Myles Garrett, a game wrecker, more than they could use a game wrecker receiver like DK Metcalf.
But I'm just saying, that would be awesome for Josh. That's not going to happen.
Be the best receiver Josh Allen's ever had. Like I said, if he was that great with Khalil Shakir and a corpse of Amari Cooper, imagine what he would be like with DK Metcalf. That would be fun.
So here's the one, and this is going to take a little creative understanding and work here. But now I don't think we'd trade with this team because they're hated rivals. But to me, the 49ers. I mean, and the reason I say that is, and you seem to think the 49ers are not going to be good this year. Everything I've heard is Christian McCaffrey is almost back to 100%. He's planning
I'd hope
play.
So, Glenn. He played 5 snaps.
I hope so. But they have a great offensive line. They have the running game. Now here's the thing: they signed Ayuk, who was injured and what have you. They did get rid of Debo,
right?
But they're also in negotiations with Brock Purdy. So here's where it gets interesting. It seems like they're not wanting to pay Brock, and I think they've offered him $45 million. At least that's what I've seen.
Why do you say that, Glenn?
I just read that I think yesterday, saying that they've offered him 45.
Let me ask you this really fast, Glenn. Where did you read that? Do you remember?
I wish I could tell you. It was one of these. I have no idea. I don't want to. It wasn't on Facebook.
Okay.
No, it wasn't on Facebook.
You would not believe, Glenn, the calls I've gotten the last 2 weeks, whether it's on this show, the show I do host every Sunday, Hick at Night, or when I produce for JR during the week. I've gotten like 3 different calls the last 2 weeks about asking about these fake trades and they said they got it from Facebook. There was one.
No,
what was it?
No.
Oh, it was Aaron Rodgers traded to like I forgot what it was, but it was like Aaron Rodgers traded to like the Titans or something like that. I'm like, where'd you see that from? They're like, I saw it on Facebook. I'm like, you can't go to Facebook for this news. So okay, I just wanted to make sure that that's not where you get your source from.
No, it was one of the NFL insiders, and I just read it, and I can't remember which one. I'll look it up, and maybe I'll tweet you later. But so here's my point, though, is I'm thinking that if they really don't want to sign Brock, and people are going to laugh at this, but Mr. Aaron Rodgers, bring him in, and their team they're either going to win now or they're not going to win. They're going to have to get into a rebuild. And he played great at the end of the season. I'm not a huge Aaron Rodgers fan, but I really think he's got more to offer than you think. If they can do what they did with Brock Purdy, no, you don't think he could? I think he could add a lot to that team.
He's 42 years old.
I know.
I don't think he played very well last year. If you want to say he played better at the end of the stretch, I'm not going to get enamored by a 2-game stretch. I appreciate the call, Glenn. And basically, the 2 options you gave me there are this. You said the 49ers could go down 1 of 2 paths. Pay Brock Purdy, keep Brandon Ayuk, or essentially move off Brock Purdy, bring in Aaron Rodgers, bring in DK Metcalf. I am taking the Purdy Ayuk option every single time. You're also talking to someone. I'm not an Aaron Rodgers guy. I don't believe he's got anything left in the tank. I think the headaches and distractions he brings far outweigh the production he has on the field at this point in his career. I'm out on Aaron. Out. I'd much rather keep Brock Purdy. Now, I think there's a world where you could pay Brock Purdy and also bring DK Metcalf in. You got to move Brandon Ayuk. But like you kind of said to start the call, in-division rival, hated in division rival. There's no shot, no chance the Seahawks trade DK Metcalf to the 49ers. So it's really not a conversation worth having. But when you come quarterback options, no. There's no world where I'm saying Aaron Rodgers is the better option than Brock Purdy next year and beyond. 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll continue to take your DK Metcalf thoughts. And also when we return, I'll tell you the best landing place for Sam Darnold. It's a place you probably haven't thought of. Tell you next, Ryan Hickey, right here, Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Can't stop the beat, I won't stop the beat and go.
855-212-4227. That's the number to get in touch with us. The Infinity Sports Network. Give us a call. 855-212-4227.
It is Ryan Hickey with it right here on the Infinity Sports Network. All right, here's what we're going to do since we went a little long in that first segment. I want to give Sam Darnold, I think, the proper time he deserves. Coming off a year in which the Vikings won 14 games. I think Sam Darnold should have won a comeback player of the year, but that's a different discussion for a different day. So give me about 10 minutes here. We'll get to Sam Darnold on the other side after Marco's update here. Because I think it's a really interesting conversation of where Sam could end up. And I think for me, the perfect landing spot's a team that we've not heard a ton about here, but I think it makes a lot of sense for him and also makes a lot of sense for the team that would sign him as well. We'll do that again in about 10 minutes or so. And also, we discussed a lot here as well. I want to hear your thoughts at 855-212-4227 is what the Bengals should do with Tee Higgins. Now, they tagged him, but for me, that doesn't mean that they should bring him back in 2025. I think their best option is trading him. You could still get look at the DK Metcalf market here. There's a lot of teams that need receivers. There's probably realistically 10 teams that I think if the Bengals said, hey, Tee Higgins is on the block, I think realistically 10 teams could be calling them trying to get a deal done. There's going to be a lot of interest that you can get a second round, maybe. Hell, you could drop the price enough, a first round pick, help build your roster, and more importantly, open up cap space to improve your offensive line and improve your defense. That stunk last year. And by the way, offensive line defense, two biggest reasons why you were out of the playoffs in 2024. Wasn't the receiver's fault, wasn't the quarterback's fault. It was everyone else around them. I don't see how you can justify, if you're the Bengals, bringing back Tee Higgins when you have so many other pressing needs and salary cap space that right now is just about average. So you don't have a ton of space. You're going to pay Jamar Chase, pay Trey Hendrickson. If you think it's still in the best interest of the Bengals to keep Tee Higgins on their team in 2025, 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. Also, you could tweet me, Ryan_Hickey, and the number 3 on Twitter. Marco Belletti's here. Pete Belletti's producing. I want to ask this, fellas, because you guys seem like some foodies. I'm more of a picky eater myself, so I want to excuse myself from this conversation. Well, I'll give my thoughts, but I think I'm a little biased here. The University of Miami this week put out this option you can get at their baseball game.
Okay.
I guess what they do is they cater some food towards opponents that they play. Villanova came to town this week for a little series against Miami.
Mm-hmm.
So what Miami, the Hurricanes, offered fans to buy is a milkshake. Vanilla milkshake, vanilla syrup in the milkshake.
Okay.
The Philly part of this is that on top of the milkshake in the cup is a Philly cheesesteak, in or out.
An actual, not like
the picture, an actual Philly cheesesteak on top of
ice cream,
on top of a vanilla shake.
That's a disgrace.
You're out, Pete.
That's
in or out?
disgusting. That is a disgrace.
Yeah.
To all food.
I agree with Marco. I'm out. That's too much.
So I'm out as well. So again, not to be as a picky eater, I wasn't sure if this was just me or if this was just the general public.
No, it just doesn't work to get. You can have one and then the other. You can have a cheesesteak and then later have some ice cream. You can do that. You put them together, it does the texture. Ugh.
I feel nauseous just looking at it. But I'm going to use this as a positive, I think. I think this combination, ice cream, Philly cheesesteak on top of it, when the aliens eventually invade us and they come down and they see this is what they're doing. You know what, fellas? Let's pack it up. Let's go to Mars. We're getting out of here. We're staying far away from these lunatics. This is not worth it. I think it could keep the aliens away.
What's the price on this abomination?
Great question. You know, Darren Ravel tweeted it, and usually he's someone that would tweet stuff like that. I've not seen a price.
I'm gonna say $30.
What? It could be $1, overpriced.
Honestly, if you give me that for free, I'm not eating that. And I'm pretty. Look,
how do you even? So the
you
picture.
don't attack that. I mean, honestly, that's you would have to eat the cheesesteak first. But even still, it's going to now be soaked, so it's going to have that like. I mean, the bread is all falling apart. You're going to have pieces of the cheesesteak inside the ice cream. What the hell is that yellow
cheese? Probably the whiz. You know how Philly.
They put whiz.
Whiz.
They put the whiz in the ice cream.
If you're gonna go with Philly cheesesteak in the milkshake, you got to go then full. We're doing the whiz. Onions, actually.
So they did whiz wit inside the ice cream.
Now,
is there peppers and whatnot in there too?
I would assume so, right? If you're going full Philly cheesesteak.
That might be the worst one I've heard.
Come on now.
Ravel did have a follow-up tweet. It looked like a picture from tonight's game. I'm assuming they played tonight. And he said, we sent a friend to review the vanilla cheesesteak. Quote, honestly, it was awesome.
Now, notice how he didn't say he ate it.
That's true. Send a friend. Who knows the judgment of the friend. But
I don't buy that. Either the friend didn't eat it, they're trying to get themselves some publicity, or they're just, disgusting.
A shill.
Because there's no way. There's no way.
Fries in a smoothie or fries in a shake, I'm in for.
Me too.
Like you know, like Wendy's big average. Like you dip that fry in a Wendy's shake. I think it's vanilla.
Could.
It's good.
It's fine. Look, I got no problem with that. I don't know if I would want the whole thing inside there, but if you want to dip,
dip.
Yeah, all right.
I'm not saying pour the fries.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like you're not mixing this thing up. That's
a fair
an issue.
Point too.
That's an issue. Because it gets soggy. It gets soft. It changes everything. It changes the texture.
Right. It's sitting there too. It's one thing if you want to dip the cheesesteak in there. That does not sound like a great idea, but if you want to at least say, okay, well, you dip fries in the shake, and maybe we'll see how it works.
Well, salt and sweet, like it's possible. It's possible.
Sit in there.
Well, once it's inside, now you screwed everything up because you know it's going to melt.
And this is pre-made, I'm sure, too. So like you're buying this, and they just pull it off. You know, is it on a heating rack? Is it on a cool rack? Is it in a fridge? I don't know.
Well, the cheesesteak's got to be on the heating rack.
Oh, so maybe it's not pre-made. I was going to say if it's sitting there for like an hour before you buy it.
Well, it could be sitting on that
juices.
Well, yeah, it is, but it's sitting inside whatever those things are, like the.
Right, well, the cheese, but you can't put the shake in there.
No, you can't put the shake in there.
So they're probably separate.
Now, if it's some contraption where you have the shake, like you see with the chicken tenders and fries and the drink, and you put it like the drink through the chicken tenders, and it's separate.
There's no separation. There's no contraption.
No, you can't do it together.
This is like a paper cup that the shake is in, straw. Cheesesteak. Yeah, there's no fancy, okay, there's a lid, and actually it looks like it's in there, but it's sitting on top of it, so you can, take a sip of the shake and then take a bite, and it's separated. There's no separation. This thing is in there.
All of it is disgusting. But the two biggest issues I have is the bread getting soaked by the ice cream.
Yep.
And now having to sop that up afterwards at the bottom, which is going to be just, brutal. Plus the whiz. Oh. That's nasty. The whiz on top of the ice cream, that alone is nasty enough. Never mind the fact you're eating peppers with ice cream.
And onions.
Peppers, onions, cheese. Three things that no matter
how you dress. We getting some mushrooms in there too? We getting some mushrooms inside.
Might as well.
Why not? I just want to make sure. Good to know that at least my taste in food is
honestly, I want to know basically the psychopath that came up with this.
There had to be like a taste test or something to it where someone thought it would taste decent, because you can't just put it together and say, hey, here you go. Someone had to have tried it before it happened.
That's an abomination.
Oh,
what I'm assuming is this is like a bit. So
better be a bit.
Mark Light Shake, I guess, is like the Shake Shack, if you will, of the Miami baseball team, like at the stadium. Like,
right.
They're known for their shakes.
Okay.
I'm assuming this is like a thing where how can we
incorporate the shakes inside of whatever food from the whatever town?
And how can we kind of make a name for ourselves by doing this? Because we're talking about a national if this was just a normal shake, we're not talking about a national show. I've never been to a Miami baseball game. No one outside of being a student or a resident of Miami should ever know most of the other food places at a stadium of your local, team, unless it's crazy stuff like this.
Fair. I've heard of the shakes in Miami because they are famous. It's something that I've never been, but I've heard of it before. I didn't realize that they were then taking whatever's on the rack and then garbage.
Well,
are we going to get a shoe? We're going to throw it in there and put it in the
It's funny you say that. Last thing I'll throw here before you really get grossed out. They tweeted beginning of the season their full menu, milkshake menu. Under the famous Super Shakes option is the kitchen sink, which simply says everything we have. So literally, the joke you just made is literally an option at this. Right below it, by the way, grasshopper.
Like an actual grasshopper.
Yes. Which
I know that people eat that.
I would try that over the cheesesteak.
I've heard of the chocolate-covered grasshopper. I'm aware of such a thing. I realize you could just eat the grasshopper, or at least that's something that people eat.
Now, would you try that steak ice cream thing if it didn't have the Cheese Whiz peppers and onions?
That makes it worse. But
I think it makes it better.
What?
No cheese, no onions.
No.
If it's
all
just
those
meat
things
and
make
bread,
it worse. Yes, it's better if
yes.
it doesn't have all the added stuff in it. Am I looking at now? Oh yeah, you know what? It's not so bad. It's just a cheesesteak on top of ice cream. I still don't want a cheesesteak on top of ice cream.
That's the biggest.
I'm not eating a cheesesteak with a spoon. It's disgusting.
There's no market for, man, I love this shake, but you know what would make it better? I wish I had a cheesesteak just in the middle of it, and the juice is just seeping. So every sip I have, I taste it.
You know what? Why don't we blend it up? Why don't we make it a drink? Why don't we do that? What the hell's the difference, right? Right? I mean, honestly, if we're getting to the point where you can have the cheesesteak and the ice cream, if you're going to have them separately, why can't you eat it together? Why don't we just blend it up together and wind up drinking it?
I want the job that comes up with these ideas. I wonder how much that makes.
We used to be a proper society.
Honestly, probably more than you think. That's a sad part. Probably there's a lot of money in these contraptions. On North Carolina, well, now, with Bill Belichick in conference, they got to do something. Old and young, you got to have like some old-ass food, moldy food, because Bill's old. Throw that in the shake.
Maybe Bill can bring back some traditional
and then bring back
items.
something fresh, because his girlfriend's like 23. Old and new in the shake. This is a cookie we had from last season, and here's one we just baked yesterday. Put it together, because that's what Bill and his girlfriend are, and here's the new shake. There we go. We can do it.
I want to see them actually explaining this to Belichick. I want to be in the room when they explain it.
Yeah, do it after a loss, too.
So you're putting the what?
No, I don't think you're even going to get that. You'd be lucky if you get words.
All right.
Before I get sick here, we're going to end the milkshake conversation, because I think any more combos here are just going to this could go really, really south here.
You should put a shoe in there.
It is Ryan Hickey right here on the Infinity Sports Network. The best team for Sam Darnold to sign with. We'll do that after we get this cheesesteak milkshake free combo update from Marco Belletti.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Whiz. Raiders making a splash. They make sure Max Crosby's not going anywhere, as Vegas made him the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. 3-year extension, $106.5 million.
We're always in pursuit of finding great competitors that will help us build a great team. And there's no way we could find anybody that is more focused and directed and committed to giving everything he's got to every opportunity he's going to get. And so for us to make this statement today is like it fits perfectly.
That's head coach Pete Carroll. Meanwhile, his former club in Seattle dealing with some issues. Wideout DK Metcalf reportedly asking for a trade on the same day the Seahawks also said goodbye to mainstay Tyler Lockett after 10 years. Chargers reportedly releasing Joey Bosa, saving roughly $25 million on the cap. Former number 3 pick in the draft has been slowed by injuries the last few years, totaling just 14 sacks over the last 3 seasons combined. NBA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with a monster night.
Dub holding, corner left to Wiggins, to the baseline on Clark, can't squirt free. Shovel feeds in the lane to Dort. Lugans up top to Shai for a long 38-foot three-pointer straight away. Cha-ching at Thunder Moneyball. Shai's got 41 on the heels of his explosive 51 points 2 nights ago against Houston.
SGA finished with those 41. Thunder dismissed the Grizzlies 120-103. Call courtesy of the Thunder Radio Network. Rest your scores. Cavs are the first team to clinch a playoff spot. They pushed their win streak to 12. Outlast the Heat 112-107. James Harden with 50 led the Clippers by the Pistons 123-115. Celtics handled the Blazers 128-118. Peyton Pritchard 43. Derek White 41. Both career highs. And it's the first time in Celtics history 2 players each over 40 in the same game. Bucks dominate the Mavericks 137-107. Giannis Antetokounmpo 32 as he eclipsed 20,000 career points. T-Wolves ripped the Hornets 125-110. Nuggets rallied by the Kings 116-110. And the Wizards got by the Jazz 125-122. College hoops. Ole Miss stunned 4th-ranked Tennessee 78-76. Florida outlasted Alabama 99-94. Maryland topped Michigan 71-65. Texas Tech knocked off Colorado 91-75. Wisconsin raced Minnesota 74-67. And Oklahoma surprised Missouri 96-84. And from hockey, Alex Ovechkin, career goal number 885. Now 10 away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's all-time record. Capitals outlast the Rangers in overtime 3-2. I'm Marco Belletti.
This is Zach Gelb. Get all your sports talk here on the Infinity Sports Network. Always available on the free Odyssey app.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're in the right place. The Infinity Sports Network.
It is Ryan Hickey with it right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Just want to remind you that this portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam, just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. That is checkethos.com. Not available in all states. So one of the biggest storylines we saw in the NFL this week, the question was, will the Vikings tag Sam Darnold? Got into 14 wins last year, was top 6 in every passer category you could imagine. Obviously, you have J.J. McCarthy there, but with how well he played for 95% of the season, can you afford to let him go for nothing? Obviously, as we know, right, they did not tag him. Right now, Sam Darnold is about to be a free agent. So now as you start to look ahead to free agency that starts next week, the question is, where does Sam Darnold land? If I'm Sam Darnold, here's what I do. I take the Matthew Stafford route. I stay with my current team for less money. Because the reality is with Sam Darnold, I think he's a good quarterback. With that said, though, he needs to be in the right system. He is not a quarterback that can go anywhere and have success. Right? I think Mahomes is like that. Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. There's a few quarterbacks we saw with Jaden Daniels, although I think the Commanders are a better team than maybe we gave them credit for this time last year, right? But there are just some guys that go anywhere, boom, can turn teams around, have immediate success. Sam is not one of those guys. He goes to the Giants, he's not having a lot of success. He goes to the Titans, he's not having a lot of success. He needs good coaching around him. He needs good playmakers around him as well. And so when you look at his possible options in New York, Tennessee, the Raiders, right, a lot of teams, even the Steelers, I think are a spot that is not a great landing spot for Sam Darnold. If you're Sam, I think it makes more sense for him to take less money, go back to Minnesota, try to, hell, even improve on what you did in year one under Kevin O'Connell and playing with that team, and then reevaluate your options next year. Because it is clear, right? The Vikings do like J.J. McCarthy. They drafted him for a reason. He was hurt last year, so you didn't see any of him at all. I don't think if all things went as planned that Sam Darnold would have ended the season as a start. I think they envisioned he'll start the season, but J.J. McCarthy will come in at some point and take over. I don't think they envisioned, obviously, McCarthy getting hurt or Darnold playing as well as he did. With that said, though, I think if you're Kevin O'Connell, right, you just won 14 games and you had a Week 18 game in which the division and the number one seed was on the line. I know you like J.J. McCarthy, but you're really ready to move off of a guy that just won you 14 games and got you in that position that quickly? To go to a rookie who, again, wasn't even practicing last year, played a half of a preseason game and then wasn't able to do anything at all? You really want to give a team that was that close to the, to having a bye and having the NFC run through Minnesota? You're really ready to hand the team over to a rookie quarterback that hasn't proven anything? I would bring Sam back if I'm Minnesota. See if you can replicate or, again, even improve in year 2 on Sam Darnold. Give him a deal to where you're flexible to where things go south. If, again, he plays well, but you still want to go to Sam Darnold, you still want to go to J.J. McCarthy after 2025, you can get out of the deal early. Plenty of easy ways to structure a contract where you can cut him or trade him at no real cap hurt or cap hit after next season. I think it's in the best interest of both teams, or both sides, I should say, Darnold and the Vikings, to get back together in 2025. Because also, if you're Darnold, right, even if Minnesota's not your long-term home, to where eventually they want to go to J.J. McCarthy, maybe they're just buying him one more year, have that knee fully healthy, get him at practice, kind of have him go through the motions before giving him the reins in 2026, kind of like what the Packers did with Jordan Love, right, where he sat for 2 years before kind of finally coming in and taking over for Aaron Rodgers. Even if it is just a one-year marriage for Darnold in Minnesota next year. Well, if you play well, number one, I think you get yourself more money. But number two, what you're doing is buying yourself time. Again, the Giants, the Raiders, the Titans, even the Steelers, I think that roster is not as good as people want to make it seem to be. And Arthur Smith is not as good of an offensive coordinator as people think he is. Like, would you rather play for one of those teams and have your career end by you struggling, or you buy yourself time? And all of a sudden now maybe a more attractive situation opens up next year that allows you to succeed more than any team would this year. If I'm Sam, I take less. I want to go back to Minnesota. If I'm the Vikings, I look at how good Sam did for 95% of the season. I say, you know what? Let's bring him back. See if we can improve on that. Buy JJ a little bit more time and see what we can do in 2025. I think the best option for both sides here, Sam Darnold returning to Minnesota and playing for the Vikings in 2025. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. Where do you think the best landing spot for Sam Darnold is here in 2025? We'll get your thoughts, and also when we return. Speaking of futures, I think this week proved if you're the Mavericks, best thing for your future, trading Anthony Davis. I'll explain why next. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
And welcome in. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. A very happy Thursday to you. Thank you for making us a part of your morning. If you're a fan of the Dallas Mavericks, this has been a rough week, a rough month, really, let's be honest, a rough year so far. And it's only March 6th. This has been as bad as it could be. So my condolences to you. You are a trooper. You are very tough. But I'm here not to pound on the Mavericks, not to just dig the hole deeper. I'm actually here to help you out. I am trying to throw a lifeline to the Dallas Mavericks and the Dallas Mavericks fans out there listening right now. I think the easiest way to do it, the best way to do it, the only way to make things better for the Dallas Mavericks moving forward is by trading Anthony Davis this offseason. May sound counterintuitive, but I think it's the only way they can dig themselves out of this massive hole. Let's dive into why. Number one, let's go and remember why the Mavericks traded for AD in the first place. They traded for him with the thought, wrongly of course, that AD gave themselves a better chance to win a title than Luka Doncic. But they traded for AD to win now. Right? This is not a long play. This was, we are trying to win right now. Nico Harrison said in the press conference after they traded for Anthony Davis, this is a 3 or 4 year window. We are going right now. Well, right now, year one, which included this year, is gone dead. Because we saw Anthony Davis play 3 quarters before living up to his nickname of street clothes and getting hurt. And now, unfortunately, as we saw earlier this week, Kyrie Irving went down with a torn ACL. He's out for the rest of the year. So this season is toast. It is done. It's in their best interest to miss the playoffs and play in altogether and tank for a top pick and maybe get Cooper Flag. That's their best option. So you trade for Anthony Davis to win right now. Year one is already dead before we even reach the postseason. And now, because of the Kyrie Irving injury and the torn ACL specifically, you look ahead to next year. He's not coming back by opening night. He's not going to be back by Christmas. Torn ACL, what is that, 10-month, 12-month rehab? I think the earliest we could see Kyrie Irving back, or the likeliest, is probably next February, maybe around the All-Star break. And so then are you going to then bring him back, expect him to be the old Kyrie, also expect to have Anthony Davis by that point healthy, and then you're going to go all into it next year? That seems like a losing proposition. That seems unlikely it's going to happen. So you're not winning next year. So you trade for Anthony Davis to win right now. You're not winning this year. You're not winning next year. You have in Kyrie and AD 2 guys on the wrong side of 30 dealing with injuries. You are not a title contender for easily the next 2 seasons. And when you look at Kyrie Irving, he's got a player option next year. He's going to opt into it. He's going to miss most of the year. It's over $40 million. He's not going to go test free agency. But after next year, he is a free agent. Are you going to give a 34-year-old coming off a torn ACL a massive deal? Or are you going to let someone else do that? So when you add it all up here, when you look at this from the Mavericks' perspective, they have no chance to win a title here in the short term. The next 3-4 years for them are toast. And that's why they traded for AD. That's why they brought him in here to win right now. That win now option is already gone. So sticking this out, riding it out with AD, hoping somehow Kyrie comes back and magically gets back to his top tier form this time next year, magically hoping Anthony Davis, who's been injury riddled his entire career, stays healthy and is able to contribute in the postseason. That is a losing philosophy. That is a strategy that is destined to fail. So how the Mavericks get out of the hole they're in, how they turn the tide and actually bring, how about this, some positivity to their franchise and to the city is by admitting their mistake and rectifying it. I don't need to tell you, right? The Anthony Davis trade was a mistake, right? We've talked about it for months. It doesn't need to be relitigated again. But the quicker the Mavericks realize, you know what? That number 1 trade was a mistake, and number 2, we're not going to win with him, the quicker they can realize, you know what? Our best interest is now moving off of him. Trading him as soon as possible before he loses value because he's hurt and his age. Trading him this offseason would be embarrassing because you traded Luka for a guy that you thought could win a title, and 3 months later he's now off the team somewhere else. You're not going to get good PR. But kind of what we talked about before with some other situations here when it comes to the Bengals and Tee Higgins, you take 1 step back in order to take 3 steps forward. You trade Anthony Davis, you burn this ship down. You trade anybody of value, Klay Thompson. If you could somehow sign and trade Kyrie, maybe, whatever it takes, anyone that has value, you trade and you do what the team just north of you in Oklahoma City did, where they burned it down. They took on assets, as many as possible, and they built themselves to the draft by having 1 million picks every single year, where it felt like it was impossible for them not to hit on a guy or 2 in the draft every single year. Now you look at the Thunder, they're one of the best teams in the league. One of the youngest, one of the best, one of the deepest. It took a little bit of time, don't get me wrong. But they did it right. They acknowledged where they were. And they were kind of similar in the sense of they had, right, at one time, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden. All 3 of those guys left at some point or another. They tried to bring in Paul George. That didn't work. They kind of kept spinning the wheel for a while before realizing we're stuck in the middle. We got to go 1 of 2 ways here. We're not going to get some top-tier talent to our city, so we're going to trade everyone of value. We're going to collect as many assets as possible, and we're going to build through the draft. And they absolutely nailed it. I think if you're the Mavericks, that's the blueprint you should adopt. You're a more attractive landing spot for a free agent in Dallas than it is Oklahoma City. I get that. But I think stripping it down, trading anyone and everyone of value here, going in the tank for a little bit, to me, that's a much better option than riding this out with Anthony Davis, the inevitable happening of you not winning a championship, probably coming nowhere close to contention, and then you're left holding the bag in 3 or 4 years when AD's broken down, Kyrie's gone somewhere else, and you have nothing to gain from them. AD's value is still high. Trade him to a team that wants him, get picks back, maybe a young player or 2, trade everybody else, and start to build this team kind of in the eye of the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's when you look at where the Mavericks are, that to me is the only option they have. It was kind of like, it is very similar in this sense to a relationship. in the sense of like Dallas had their soulmate in Luka Doncic. For whatever reason, they thought they could do better, broke up with their soulmate. And now their new girlfriend they got's not working out. So what do? You can either be stubborn, stay with your new girlfriend, propose to her because you got to say, well, I got to come out of this breakup on top. So, of course, I broke up with you to marry this girl. So, yeah, we're going to get engaged. Yeah, we're going to get married. Yeah, we're going to go through with it and probably inevitably end up divorced because I can't do this the rest of my life. But because I have pride right now, I'm going to make a decision that's going to cost me later by proposing to a girl I know is not the one just to show the other person that I came out on top. You could do that, or you could realize, you know what? Yeah, that was my soulmate. I lost a great one. This new girl stinks, not working out for me. We're not jiving. We have nothing in common. I'm going to swallow my pride. There's going to be some egg on my face. I'm going to break up with her, and I'm going to try to find my new soulmate. It's tough to do. It's embarrassing. But it's the right thing for the future. You can be stubborn and say, we're going to keep AD. We're going to make this work. We traded Luka for AD. He's going to be our guy. We're going to will this to happen. Or it could be realistic and say, the odds of that happening are basically zero. This is not going to happen. And trading AD, again, you'll get clowned for it on social media. People will be very upset. You're going to go in the tank. You had Luka Doncic and you were in the finals last year. Now you're basically tanking for the next 2 or 3 years. Embarrassing, yes. The right move, also yes. Swallowing your pride, I think will help the Mavericks trying to get in the right situation here. This team is in big trouble. You don't need me to tell you that. Just listen. Forget even what Jason Kidd says here. Listen to the tone of his voice. Jason Kidd spoke before today's game. First game since Kyrie got hurt, the torn ACL. Just listen to how beaten and broken down Jason Kidd sounds.
No one feels sorry for us. This is a business, and we have a job and responsibility, and that's to go out and play. And so it's a real simple message. Guys are going to get a great opportunity to play that maybe wouldn't have gotten as much time. We have 20 games left, and we got to find a way to put our best foot forward.
And that's a guy who sounds like he just watched his dog get scared run over right in front of him. He is a broken man. And by the way, after that rousing speech there by Jay Kidd, Mavs went out and lost by 30 to the Bucks. This team's screwed. Screwed. They have no present whatsoever. How you regain the future is by making moves now to try to salvage that. I'll be honest, I don't think the Mavericks are smart enough to do that. I don't think they're willing to do that. But that's the only move here. The only way they dig out of this hole they're in, that they caused themselves. And let's just also, this is the worst case scenario. But now that they're in it, how you get out of this slowly is, I think, by tearing it down to build it back up. That's how Dallas rectifies the situation they're in. That, to me, is the best option, which is why I think trading Anthony Davis this offseason, it's in the best interest of the Mavericks. It's the best thing for their future. I think they should do it. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. Would that make the Maverick situation in your mind better or worse? If they trade Anthony Davis 5 months after trading Luka for Anthony Davis, does that add only more salt in the wound? Or is that like, okay, at least they're trying to turn things around? 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. Also, you can tweet me, Ryan_Hickey3 on Twitter. And you can check out our Infinity Sports Network YouTube page, where we have the live video of the show and also the a chat function as well, so you have your voice heard there as well. If you like what you hear, it is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Shameless plug. Check me out on Twitter. Again, Ryan_Hickey3. And make sure to listen to the Infinity Sports Network every Sunday night. Hick at Night is hosted by yours truly every single Sunday night, 10 p.m. Eastern to 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on many of these same affiliates, on SiriusXM channel 375, and on the Odyssey app, which if you have not downloaded, what are you waiting for? It's free. You get access to every single Odyssey sports, news, music station. You can rewind as well. This is everything right at your fingertips. Very easy to use. Very helpful as well. Odyssey, check it out wherever you do get your apps. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. Speaking of bad decisions, right? We just told you, every decision the Mavericks have made over the last few weeks had just been bad decision to bad decision. This is also an awful decision. I saw this earlier today. Adrian Wojnarowski, right? Woj, now former NBA insider for ESPN, since he's not breaking news anymore, he decided one of the best ways to raise some money for St. Bonaventure, that he's now the GM of, is by selling his old memorabilia. And so he had an auction, and people actually bid and paid thousands of dollars for stuff like iPhones and press credentials. Like, let me read you some of these numbers here. Woj sold 4 different iPhones he used at ESPN for a combined total of $12,700. The highest selling phone he had at this auction was a phone he used to break the Paul George and Kawhi Leonard to the Clippers news. He also used that same phone to break the KD and Kyrie news to Brooklyn. And he also used that phone to break the Anthony Davis trade news to the Lakers. 3 huge trades tweeted out on the phone that Adrian Wojnarowski was auctioning off. And somebody bought it for $5,000. $5,000 for a phone that Woj used to tweet out a few breaking news stories. The iPhone that he used to tweet out that the NBA season was being canceled because of COVID sold for $3,200. This, to me, is the most mind-boggling one. Woj had for auction a 2023 NBA draft credential. If you recall, the 2023 draft was when Victor Wembanyama was drafted. It went for $925. Now, I went to a press conference. It was not at the draft, but it was like a day, I think, or so before the draft, where Victor Wembanyama spoke at the media. I got to see if I can find that credential. If so, I'm putting that up for auction. Because if there's an idiot that's going to buy that for $925, there's an idiot that if I put it up for $200 and say, hey, look, I wore this when I sat 2 rows away from Victor Wembanyama, maybe some idiot will buy it. He sold an iPhone that he used to tweet out the 2023 draft lottery, and he spoiled the draft picks on Twitter. That sold for $2,700. Somebody spent $1,750 for the iPhone that Woj used to send the breaking news clip that he was retiring. And if you want a All-Star Game credential that is not valid to use anywhere, but that Woj did wear for the 2023 All-Star Game, you could buy that for a cool $1,000. Who is buying this? What are you doing with it? Like, if you have a friend that bought Woj's phone that he used to tweet out the Paul George, Kyrie, KD to Brooklyn, AD to LA news. Like, if my friend said, hey, Ryan, guess what I did? I bought the phone that Woj used to break all this news. I would say, cool. Okay. Like, what do you do with it? Like, what's the point? Do you put it in a man cave? Like, do you frame that? Do you use it? Who actually cares? Like, this is no disrespect to Woj. But, like, if you were told that you are using Woj's phone or there on the wall is a framed iPhone that Woj used to tweet stories, like, I don't see how that's cool. Well, it's worth spending thousands of dollars on. $5? Okay, fine. You know what? I'd be intrigued. I'm in. $5,000? There's a lot of stupid people with a lot of money. Holy hell. That is, look, I have in my closet, in my apartment, I have a whole shoebox filled with press credentials and stuff like that. If people want to buy that, I am more than willing to sell it. We'll start the bidding now at $10,000. I got a national championship credential in there. I have some March Madness credentials. Radio Row from the Super Bowl. Like, people want to buy that stuff, please. I am more than willing to sell it. I keep it because I think it's cool because it's a memory that I was there for, right? I can look back, oh yeah, that was fun. That was a good experience. Like, kind of, I think it's cool to have Woj's All-Star Game press credential that he wore that you didn't wear it. You weren't at All-Star Weekend. You didn't get the access he did. Mind-boggling. Now, the only thing I will say here, I'm assuming, but I've not seen it to be the case 100%. I'm assuming the iPhones he sold, auctioned off, are wiped out. Right? Like factory reset, no contacts on there, no messages, nothing. It is just a blank iPhone.
That makes it even worse.
I was going to say, if there was like LeBron's number on there, Adam Silver's number on there, you get some text between him and LeBron, I'd pay $5,000 for that.
Well, even if the texts are there and the contacts are wiped out, that's more justified than buying a blank phone.
Are you a memorabilia guy? Is that something that you would even think to be like, that's cool, I want it?
I'll collect some things memorable.
Woj's iPhone?
No.
Were you the one who bought it for $5,000, Pete?
Yeah. No. I have my own, like you do. That's my memorabilia from covering games.
Right. If we go, it's a memory that we made.
I don't need someone else's.
What do you do? I just don't get what you do with it.
No. I like things from like a piece of a court or the basketball used in this game or a piece of a canvas from a big boxing match or something like that. I don't need Woj's blank iPhone that has nothing on it. Why?
What do you even do with it?
I could put it on the wall. I could take one of my phones and say, "Oh, hey, this is Woj's phone," and frame it and make it look like, "Oh, hey, look, I got his phone."
And you wipe out the phone. There's no way to know.
Well, then also, I'm surprised he's allowed to sell those press passes because they don't like taking pictures with you taking a picture with them, let alone sell it.
I don't know if that's a good point. I don't know. I don't know if he got the NBA's permission to do that. I don't know if they cared because it was 2 years ago. I don't know. That's good. That's fair. But and the last thing I'll ask you, Pete, like, because I don't know that I truly don't know what I would do if you somehow got Adrian Wojnarowski's phone. You're framing it or you're using it. I think that's the only two options you have, right? It's either you put it up in a frame in a case somewhere on the wall,
right,
or you actually just use the phone, and then everyone you see. You say, hey, guess whose phone this is? Guess who touched this phone?
Yeah, I'd probably use the phone.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
Could you imagine going to your friend's like basement or man cave or living room and just on the wall is a phone? What the hell is that? It just looks so... At least the court looks cool. A piece like... memorabilia looks... A jersey looks cool on the wall.
Or you could flip it. You could buy it and flip it and try to sell it for more.
I mean, look, I guess you're right. If there's a sucker that would pay $5,000 for, there's probably a sucker that would pay $7,000 for it or $10,000 for it. There's a new sucker born every day. So maybe you're right. Maybe this was an investment. I'm going to buy it, flip it, and send it to an even bigger idiot. My God.
And you know what? It's not even for, it's for the school, right?
Right.
It's not even for like charity. It's,
Oh, I see. Like you're more. That's fair, right? If you're gonna donate to charity, might as well get I guess it's a little bit more justifiable a phone or a press pass for
school.
it. But
that's like
for St. Bonaventure, the Bonnies, which I mean, honestly, this rate in NIL, what's $13,000 getting you anyway? I have no idea.
Now it could be somebody that went there and just making a donation and they get a free
Woj's phone. Great. Holy smokes! My goodness, that's. Poor waste of money, if you ask me. Holy cow. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with right here on the Infinity Sports Network. When we return, LeBron James, this time yesterday, well, a little bit earlier than this time yesterday, made history, scored 50,000 points. I want to have this discussion. Is that the most unbreakable record in sports? Time to answer when we do return. It's Ryan Hickey with right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. So we saw history tonight in the NBA. Giannis Antetokounmpo eclipsed the 20,000 career point total, and at age 32, he became the 6th youngest player to reach that mark. Congratulations, Giannis, but seeing that, seeing him accomplish that had me thinking, and really for the last 24 hours, kind of mulling this thought, but now having this kind of crystallized after hearing the Giannis news. I think LeBron James is like 50,000 career point scoring total and counting, by the way. Like, it's going to be it may be the most unbreakable record in all of sports, right? You look at some of the unbreakable records that, you could talk about Cal Ripken's 2,632 game Ironman streak. You look at Joe DiMaggio's 56 game hit streak. Bill Russell winning 11 rings. Islanders winning 4 cups in a row. Like, I feel like a lot of those streaks are almost impossible to beat, right? But if you say, like, okay, which one is truly like the one that will stand the test of time, I think it's LeBron's 50K. Like, that to me feels the safest of all those unbreakable records, because I think it takes so much to get there that I don't think we'll ever see it again. It takes longevity. Right? The 50K barometer or point total, right, is regular season and playoff totals. When you look at LeBron James, and right now he has played in the most playoff games ever, when you add up his regular season and postseason, he has played in 25 and a half seasons and counting. Nobody's ever played that with 25 and a half seasons. Not only has he played that long, he's been healthy for a large majority of it, and he's also had elite, consistent play where he's averaged 27 points per game for his entire career. Like, look at Giannis, right? 20,000 points, 6th youngest player to ever reach that mark. It took him 12 years in the NBA to get there. So if you double Giannis's production, right, just assume he keeps on the same trajectory, he'll reach the 40,000 point total in his 24th season at age 44. And he's still going to be, by the time LeBron retires, who knows what he'll be at, 55? He'll still be at least 10,000 points away at age 44 from LeBron. I don't know anybody right now going forward in basketball that's going to play 26 seasons, played at an insanely elite level, be healthy for all of it, and average 27 points a game for that long of a career. Again, a lot of these records, right? Cal Ripken's Ironman streak, Joe DiMaggio's 56 game hit streak. Like, they feel unbreakable. They feel like we're never going to see it. At least in the sense of, well, at least for Joe DiMaggio, right? It's one season. That's all it takes. A hot season. For Cal Ripken, you need, again, you do need health, no doubt about it. But that's health, not production. For LeBron, for anybody to surpass LeBron's point total, you need health and production. And I guess longevity as well, if you want to add the 3 in there. I just don't know who else is doing it. I really don't. We are seeing history, and I hope, there was not a lot of fanfare for it. He was 40, he's 1 point away from a few games ago, so it obviously was going to happen. It was not a surprise. But still, you look at that accomplishment, what it took to get there, that it is easily one of the most unbreakable records we have in sports. I put more money on that one standing the test of time, being the most unbreakable, no doubt about it.
I'm gonna throw something at you.
Ooh.
Someone batting 400 again in Major League Baseball. It hasn't happened since 1941, and in an era where we have de-stressed the batting average, and it's more about launch angles and how hard you hit the ball over the fence, I can see that record not going away anytime soon. You're not going to see someone hit 400. I can't see it within. I think it'll go 100 years at least until you see someone hit 400.
So Luis Ariza was at least the closest player.
Right.
Last year, 2023 at least, he had 354. Now, again, that's still realistically nowhere close to 400, but that's another one where It is very tough, but at least in that situation, again, not saying it's easy. It's very tough. But at least in that situation, again, of hitting 400 in a baseball season, not seeing it since Ted Williams, at least all it takes is one good season, one elite season, right? We've seen some guys run into one where they have 60 homers or they just play out of this world. At least for that record, all you need is 1 year. We're looking at LeBron. You need damn near 30 years of elite play. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Feels unbreakable. As a reminder, this portion of the show is sponsored by Hyundai. The Hyundai Getaway Sales Event is going on now. Get deals so right, it almost feels wrong. But don't wait. Visit your local Hyundai dealer now. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. Is LeBron James's 50,000 point mark the most unbreakable record right now in sports? 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. Let's actually go out to New York. David is there. What's up, David?
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, man?
Thanks for having me on, first-time caller.
Oh, thanks for making the time.
No problem. Well, thank you. So I just want to talk about, you're talking about LeBron's longevity with his points and whatnot, and I think it's awesome with, how with him bringing the points and making records with that and his longevity. But do you think that if the game was still as tough as it was back in, say, the 90s, do you think his body would hold up? Like, I understand he takes care of his body, but it's not as physical when you're going into the paint as it was back in the day with how they protect the players today. I just wanted to get your thought.
No, it's definitely different, David, no doubt about it, and thank you for the call. But yes, like you just said it before, I mean, LeBron, the guy, and part of the reason why he's been able to get all these records and accomplishments and play so long, he's a physical freak. He is 6'9", he's built like a tight end, he runs the floor like a guard. Like, he has the best qualities of every position on the floor you could possibly have from a physical standpoint. See his shoulders? Like, that guy, if he's going to the paint, Bill Laimbeer is going down. If he's coming down the paint, like, I think those defenders in the 90s are feeling the pain, not LeBron. That's a guy that puts so much time and effort into his body. He's meticulous with how he takes care of himself. That's a guy that I think would absolutely be okay in the 90s. No doubt about it. He's one of the few. You look at smaller players with Steph Curry, if they had the physicality in the 90s, with John Morant, who loves to attack the rim, different story. LeBron is the outlier. That's not a guy you can pull they were so much more physical in the 90s. How would LeBron hang up? That guy would be, again, he'd be doling out more punishment than he'd be taking, no doubt about it. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. If you think there's a record more unbreakable than the 50K we saw LeBron put up over his career, 855-212-4227. Also, you can tweet me, Ryan_Hickey3 on Twitter. We'll get your thoughts, and also when we return, I want to touch on one thing in baseball here. Justin Turner, now of the Cubs, had some really strong words, and I think he perfectly outlined the real problem with baseball. If you think the Dodgers are what's wrong with baseball, I'm going to explain to you why you are absolutely wrong. We'll do that after we get this latest sports update from Marco Belletti.
Infinity Sports Network, Sports Flash.
All right, it's the dawn of a new day with the Raiders, and they've made a big move to signify their commitment to turning the corner. They've made Max Crosby the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. 3 years, $106.5 million. It includes $91.5 million in guaranteed money.
This is obviously a big commitment, and it's not lost on us how big that is, but there's no one we'd have to do it with than Max and what he stands for and the way he plays the game and the passion. I mean, that's what Coach and I have talked about, and actions are louder than words, and Max deserves that credit.
That's GM John Spytek. Elsewhere, the Chargers reportedly releasing Joey Bosa, saving roughly $25 million towards the cap. Bosa just 14 sacks over the last 3 seasons combined due to a myriad of injuries. DK Metcalf wants out of Seattle, reportedly requesting a trade, while the Seahawks also released 10-year veteran Tyler Lockett. Cowboys couldn't end the year with Dak Prescott's cap number at nearly $90 million, so they've restructured his deal, freeing up $36.6 million in cap space. Bears reportedly sent a 4th rounder to the Chiefs in exchange for 2-time All-Pro guard Joe Tooney. Checking the NBA with the Cavs looking to push their win streak up to 12 straight.
In the right corner to Garland. Lob left wing. Donovan. His three. Bullseye! Cavs lead 106-105.
Donovan Mitchell at 26. Cavs move their win streak to 12, become the first team to clinch a playoff spot. Outlast the Heat 112-107. Call courtesy of the Cavs Radio Network. Rest of scores, Thunder disposed of the Grizzlies 120-103 as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander poured in 41. Clippers raced the Pistons 123-115 behind 50 from James Harden. Nuggets rallied by the Kings 116-110. Celtics handled the Blazers 128-118. Peyton Pritchard 43. Derek White added 41. T-Wolves ripped the Hornets 125-110, and the Wizards got past the Jazz 125-122. College hoops, Ole Miss stunned fourth-ranked Tennessee 78-76. Florida outlasted Alabama 99-94. Maryland topped Michigan 71-65. Texas Tech knocked off Colorado 91-75. Clemson erased Boston College 78-69. Wisconsin erased Minnesota 74-67. Oklahoma surprised Missouri 96-84. Louisville overpowered Cal 85-68, and UConn took out Marquette 72-66. I'm Marco Belletti.
This is JR from the JR Sport Brief. Get all your sports talk here on the Infinity Sports Network. Always available on the free Odyssey app.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Infinity Sports Network.
It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Thank you for making us a part of your Thursday. So I saw Justin Turner say something, and I think Justin Turner, now of the Chicago Cubs, highlighted the true problem with baseball. So many fans want to focus on the Dodgers and their spending and the deferrals and how that's cheating the system and they're bad for baseball. The Dodgers spending money to win is not bad for baseball. The real problem with baseball, and nobody wants to talk about, is the fact that most of the league is not trying to win. And I give a lot of credit for Justin Turner. He said the quiet part out loud today. He was speaking with Bob Nightingale of USA Today. I want to read you some of his quotes. Before I do that, though, let me give you some context of what he's talking about in case you're not a big baseball fan or you forget. I'm very forgetful, so the refresher for me is always helpful. Justin Turner last year was on the Mariners. The Mariners last year missed the postseason by one game. One game. They collapsed at the end. Now that marked the 22nd year out of 23 in which Seattle missed the playoffs. Part of the reason why they were so close was because they had a great pitching staff. They had a starting five that equaled a franchise-low 3.4 ERA. They were outstanding. That starting pitching staff is the best in baseball. They led the league in a bunch of pitching stats. The problem why they didn't make the playoffs with a great pitching staff is the bats stunk. They were bottom of the barrel offensively in almost every single category. So a team that has great pitching, a bat or two away from being a playoff team, and Justin Turner sat back, saw them do nothing this postseason. So he decided to tee off to USA Today, and I want to read you this really faster. He said, quote, "The fact that the Seattle Mariners missed the playoffs by one game and didn't go out and add an impact bat or two when you have the best pitching staff in baseball just seems absurd to me. There's not going to be a better time to go for it. So I don't know what they're doing. I'm very confused. It's a head scratcher for me. I thought Pete Alonso was a slam dunk. How could you not go after him? You kidding me?" End quote. Everything Justin Turner said is right, and that is the real problem with baseball. It's the fact that too many teams do not do everything it takes to put a winning team on the field. The Mariners were so close last year. They have been bad for forever. They had the longest postseason streak or postseason drought until that ended a few years ago. And now they're right back starting a new drought. And when you see how close they are with a great pitching staff, like Justin Turner said, you're a bat or two away. Pete Alonso was desperate for anybody to sign him until the Mets finally did. The fact, not signing him is one thing. Not making an offer, not calling him up, inexcusable. Like, how can you, if you're a Mariners fan, take your team seriously? How can you be bought in if the ownership group looks at how close they are and said, we're good. Maybe we'll get lucky next year. Hopefully we'll get lucky next year, but we sure as hell are not putting any more money into this team because we got to make a profit. We got to get as much money as we can. So we're going to try to slash the payroll, make as much money as we can, and hope, pray, we get lucky and make the playoffs. How fans look at the Dodgers spending to win and how they look at other teams sitting on their hands, Mariners, Pirates, Rays, A's, you name it. For every Dodgers massive spender, there's 5 teams that don't spend. That, to me, that's how you alienate fans. There's a lot of things wrong with baseball. You want to talk about the rule changes, whatever. To me, the thing that alienates fans the most is not trying to win, not doing everything possible to put the best product on the field, prioritizing money over success, not spending money to make money. So I don't want to hear about the Dodgers, how they're bad for baseball and how they're vilified. A team spending money to win, or a majority of the league not doing everything possible to put a winner on the field. You tell me what truly is wrong with baseball. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We also talked last segment, LeBron James. I think him scoring 50,000 career points, I think it's the most unbreakable record in sports because it takes longevity of 25 and a half seasons we've never seen. It takes elite consistentness over that 25 and a half year span, scoring 27 points per game, and it also takes health. You got to be healthy. You got to be available. Add up all three. Like, I don't think we're ever going to see a player come close to breaking that record again. That feels unbreakable. Sean is in Boston at 855-212-4227 with some thoughts on that record. What's up, Sean?
Hey, Ryan. Good to talk to you. First time I've ever called a radio show. It just caught my attention. Your subject just grabbed me.
Love to hear that. Thanks for making the call. What's on your mind?
Very biased because I'm from Boston. Any of the 3 records that Brady holds, yards, touchdowns, Super Bowls, probably in the same category as LeBron because of longevity.
I mean, Mahomes
may get to 7, but he's not going to get to 89,000 yards.
But he at least is in the ballpark for rings, and obviously that's the one that people look at the most, Sean. But
yeah,
those records by Brady at least feel vulnerable when you look at, again, what it takes to pass LeBron's 50,000 point total.
Bill Russell's 11 championships. I don't think you'll ever see anybody top that.
That is up there too, Sean. I appreciate the call. Again, you want to be like a Robert Horry. He's got 7 rings. He kind of bounced around. I'm not saying it's going to be broken, but it feels like at least there is a way where if you bounce around kind of the right way or even be a part of a dynasty at the right time, you could get closer to that than I think anyone will get closer to 50,000 career points over a combined 25 and a half seasons. Don's calling from Cleveland. What's up, Don? What's up, buddy?
How you doing today?
What's up, man? What's on your mind?
Thanks for so the LeBron record thing. I won't go so far as to say it's the most unbreakable record in sports. I think it's very unbreakable, though. As you said, it takes a few different things to do it, right? First of all, you have to be able to put the ball in the basket. You got to be a good scorer,
right?
You have to be around for a while, and you got to be healthy. And LeBron has been able to do all those things. He's the epitome of consistency at a high level. The thing that's funny about talking about his 50,000 is a lot of people now get into the debates about who's the best ever or whatever. They like to talk about scores, who's the best scorers. Well, I think you would agree with this. LeBron came into the league, and even throughout his first few years, most of his career, to be honest with you, LeBron has not been your true score-first guy. Yes, he looks to score, but he's not ever been considered a true first guy because he sees the floor so well, he passes, he rebounds. I don't think a lot of records that LeBron has are going to be broken because of his overall production. For example, if you take assists and points, LeBron has the most amount of points accounted for.
I want to let you go here, Don, really fast, because I want to actually have you hear something, because you talk about playmaking and not LeBron being a scorer first. I actually want you to hear this. This was LeBron last night after eclipsing the 50,000-point total, kind of taking it all in. Take a listen.
I have no idea. I mean, that's a lot of points. I don't know. It's been a lot, to be honest. Obviously, picking up the game when I was a little kid and just having a love for the sport, and was hoping that someday I'd be able to play at the highest level. And I've been able to do that and really enjoy it. Really enjoy my career.
And he also mentioned, too, like, he played the game, like, not to score, but to be a playmaker, right? See the floor, make passes, find the open guy. And you're right. Like, early in his career, he got crushed nationally because he would not take shots at the end of the game because he'd be triple teamed because everyone says, oh, LeBron's going to take the final shot. And he'd pass to a wide open teammate. He's just like a great basketball player. He's not those stat stuffing kind of guys. I think he plays the game the right way. Which makes it even more incredible that he's now been able to have this scoring record when he was not known to be a scorer initially. And he struggled shooting, especially from three. It took him a while to get that three-point shot nailed down to where he's as consistent as he is now. We'll continue to get into LeBron and the unbreakable record. But also when we do return here on the show, big news of the day, DK Metcalf has requested a trade. Which NFL team needs DK Metcalf the most? I'll tell you next. This is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Infinity Sports Network.
The team that should be the most aggressive in pursuing DK Metcalf, it's the Green Bay Packers. What's going on? It's Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. A happy Thursday to you. Thank you for tuning us in right here onto the show. As you just heard, right, the big news that we're talking about here on this show, big news coming out of Wednesday, was DK Metcalf getting on the trade block, requesting a trade away from Seattle. The Seahawks, at least reportedly, obliging, so they will now entertain trade offers for the Pro Bowl wide receiver out of Ole Miss. So now DK Metcalf is available for teams to go get. I think, and his market is going to be robust. There's a lot of teams that should be interested in the business of DK Metcalf. But the team to me that makes the most sense, that should be the most aggressive, is the Packers, because this is a team that has a million wide receivers but don't have a true number one guy. They're a playoff caliber team. And I think on top of DK coming in, establishing himself as that number one guy and bringing some juice to that offense, the biggest thing he would bring is help to Jordan Love. Because Jordan Love regressed last year. Right? He was good second half of 2023, and we never kind of saw that Jordan Love again in 2024. I know injuries had a little bit of a part to that, especially early on getting hurt in that opening game and getting hurt or middle of the year. So like he had some injuries that were, I think, maybe preventing him from being as good in 2024 as he was in 2023. But it went beyond the injuries. This was a guy whose confidence was shaken, whose decision-making was shaky as well. Like he just did not look comfortable and confident. And I think a part of that, a reason for that was he didn't have a true receiver out there he trusted. Every week, it kind of felt like someone else was stepping up or being the featured guy, but there was no cohesion. There was no true trust in the guys he was throwing the ball to. And so now if you can bring DK Metcalf in, leave no doubt about who the number one receiver is, I think we're looking at Jordan Love gaining that confidence back, gaining that trust back, and going back to the 2023 second half form we saw of Love that took this team to the playoffs and won a playoff game. You know, there's a track record now in the NFL in recent years of established receivers coming in and helping to expedite the development of young quarterbacks. Look at A.J. Brown. Going to Philly a few years ago, he made Jalen Hurts a different quarterback. Hurts' game from 2021 and 2022 and beyond has been night and day. He is a much more established passer because of the presence of one of the best receivers in the league in A.J. Brown. And the same thing happened in Buffalo with Stephon Diggs. He goes to the Bills in 2020. All of a sudden, Josh Allen is an MVP candidate. He's the model of consistency. Diggs' presence really helped Josh Allen, I think, develop into the quarterback that he became. I think DK can have that same impact in Green Bay. Go there, be a stabilizing force. He's a consistent producer. And really, again, bring the best out of Jordan Love. I think it's the perfect situation for DK to go to a playoff contender. I think it's the perfect situation for the Packers to kind of make an aggressive move. I know they don't make a lot of aggressive moves. It's not in their nature. This, though, should be one where they go against the grain of how they usually operate. This is a guy that's absolutely worth going after. I think the Packers should be the most aggressive in pursuing him. The thing, though, for them that's going to be tough is there's going to be a lot of competition. A lot of teams interested in bringing DK to their team. I think DK Metcalf, when you look at this offseason, when it comes to free agency, when it comes to guys that could possibly be traded, I think DK Metcalf is the most impactful player that will change teams this offseason. I said that for a few reasons. Number one, his production. The guy consistently produces 900 plus yards in each of his 6 years in the NFL. He's a walking mismatch. He's huge. He's fast. He's strong. You can't really cover him with one guy. Like, he is perfect, a perfect fit in any offense. Versatile. Checks every box you want from a receiver. So he brings the production. He also brings you the health. The guy's a model of consistency. He's out of the field every single game. In 6 years, he's missed 3 games. Love that. He's only 27 years old, so he's still right there in the peak prime of his career. And I think another reason why he's, to me, going to be the most impactful player moved this offseason is also has to do with what you're giving up to get him. The price is not going to be high. You're not mortgaging the farm to bring DK to your team. Early reports are, all it's going to take to get DK Metcalf on your team is a 3rd round pick. So you're getting a really talented receiver whose production has been consistently great every single year of his career, who's been healthy, who now all it takes is a 3rd round pick to bring him in. Now, you're going to have to pay him as well. He's going to ask for and need an extension. That's the reason why the Seahawks are going to trade him. He's on the last year of his deal. He's getting $24 million a year. But if you pay him, and let's say you give him an extension, I think it's fair to say he's going to get about $30 million. You know, a 4-year, $120 million deal would average out to about $30 million a year. I would say that's fair to assume that's what DK gets from whatever team trades for him. Pretty good deal. That to me is a pretty good deal for a receiver of his caliber, his age, his production. And I think he could be a guy that comes in and outperforms his contract immediately. Like I mentioned A.J. Brown just before, right? Coming in and helping out Jalen Hurts. A.J. Brown also was he was a really talented receiver in Tennessee and put up some solid numbers. But then you saw him go to Philly, fit in with that offense, and those playmakers ran him, and his career just took off. Now he's a top 5 receiver in the league. Now also a Super Bowl champion. I think we could see the same thing from DK Metcalf, where he's not a top 5 receiver, I would say. He's still a really good receiver, but if he goes to a new team in the right system, all of a sudden, boom, his career goes to another level. So I think even though you're going to be paying, DK a pretty penny here, near top dollar, I think he could be a guy that has his game go to the next level right away. And you're already feeling, we got a good bargain on this deal. We got a pretty good deal here with DK coming to town. So when you add that all up, that to me is why I call DK Metcalf the most impactful player that will move this offseason. Because I think the impact he brings in terms of production, but also the impact he brings in terms of allowing you to still save valuable assets is important. Like Myles Garrett is a better player than DK Metcalf. Myles Garrett will be traded. I don't care what Andrew Berry says. I don't care what anyone from the Browns say. It's all leverage. Garrett's getting traded. And while Garrett plays a premier position of edge rusher, the reality is, right, you're going to have to give up a huge draft haul. Bare minimum, at least one first-round pick, probably either a first and a second. I could even see 2 1s having to be given up to get Myles Garrett on your team. So you're giving up some premium draft capital. And, by the way, having to pay him, I mean, with the contract Max Crosby just got at $35.5 million a year, becoming now the highest non-quarterback to get paid in NFL history. I'm sure that's what Myles Garrett's chasing. So then if you want to give him a contract extension, it's going to have to be for probably like $36 million a year. So you're giving him a mega extension, giving up a lot of premium draft capital as well to bring him in. He's a great player, but also it does become more difficult to build up the team around him because you're giving up so much draft capital-wise and paying him so much salary-wise. It's less of an impact here for DK, so you could still have a first-round pick to still add to your team. You still have some salary cap space to make your team better. You know, Tee Higgins is a receiver that I think, and we talked about earlier in the show, that I think the Bengals should trade. They tagged him right this week. That's a guy I think it's in their best interest to move off of, open up some cap space, and pay other players on their team. If Tee Higgins is on the trade block, I think DK's a better player. I think he's a better value in part because he's healthier. T is good, right? He's good. But he's also been a guy that's been banged up. He's not had a full season played since his rookie year. That's a little bit concerning if you're going to give up draft capital and have to pay Tee Higgins. And we just saw Deebo Samuel get traded over the weekend to the Commanders. I think DK's a much better receiver than Deebo. Hell, forget receiver for a second. Look at the quarterbacks. Right, the most impactful position in sports. Even with that being the case, I think DK's impact will be felt greater than the impact of any of these free agent quarterbacks. Darnold, Russ, Rodgers, Fields, Kirk Cousins, whenever he gets cut. Like, these guys are not going to teams right now that need quarterbacks and taking them to the playoffs, turning their franchise around, taking them to the Super Bowl. I think their impact will be minimal. They're just not very good anymore for most of them. So you look around at the players that are available in free agency, the players that are on the trade block. I don't see how anyone could say when you take into account production, health, and also the price it's going to get them and the price it's going to get to keep them happy and extend them, there's not a player right now that I see changing teams this offseason that will be more impactful than DK Metcalf. Which is why his market is going to be robust and strong. But when it comes down to it, I think if you're the Packers, that's a guy you need to get on your team. Do whatever it takes to land DK Metcalf. Because I think he'll be a difference maker for not only your offense, but for your quarterback. You know, Jordan Love, he's been in the NFL a while, right? He's only now a 2-year starter going on year number 3. We still have not seen a lot. He was a project coming out of Utah State. I know they paid him, but it's not a guarantee Love hits and becomes the next franchise quarterback of the Packers. Follows in the line of Favre and Rodgers. How you get closer to that happening, that guarantee of being the next franchise guy, is by getting a reliable receiver in the building that Love can trust. DK to me is that guy. So while the competition is going to be stiff, a lot of teams are going to be interested. The team that needs DK the most, I think it's the Packers. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. Which team do you believe needs DK Metcalf the most on their team? 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. You can also tweet me, Ryan_Hickey3 on Twitter. And also, we are streaming the show live on YouTube, so you can check out the Infinity Sports Network YouTube page. We can watch the show, but also comment there as well. Have your thoughts read on the show. 855-212-4227. Let's go down to Nashville, talk to Jay. What's up, Jay?
Man, Ryan, what irresponsible adult left you alone unsupervised in the studio up there?
A lot of people are guilty of that, Jay. A lot of people are to blame.
Hey, it's good to hear from you, though, man. And happy Ash Wednesday. I see that on your forehead, bro. But
these
I'm at
ashes
work,
are like
and I was
20
like, wait a
hours
minute,
old,
Ryan?
Jay.
But it really, as far as DK, people better hope Baltimore don't find a way to get him. Alongside with Zay Flowers, and then you got that running game. Baltimore also has a running game like Philly does. Baltimore also has a defense like Philly does. Like, if Baltimore were to mess around and get DK, I mean, if I was Baltimore, I'd go at him so hard in the paint that KC would feel it, and then KC would be like, okay, that's it. We're not winning any more AFC championships. I mean, if KC finds a way to win an AFC championship or anybody beats Baltimore after that, there's something wrong with Baltimore. Because really, I thought they should have went as further than they did, like this past year. But, you know, what are you going to do? Forget about it. You know what I mean? Move on to the next season. But, like, seeing this news about DK was just like whoever gets him. And like you said, he's a big body and a burner at the same time. You know what I mean? Right. So it's anybody who picks him up, I think he's probably the most valuable free agent right now, especially if you need help on offense. But if you're already a stacked team and you have a way to get him, people better be glad Philadelphia doesn't need a wide receiver.
That's one of the. There are very few teams, and Jay, appreciate the fun words and you checking us out on YouTube too, on the Infinity Sports Network, and calling in. The Eagles are one of like 4 or 5 teams that realistically do not need DK Metcalf. Right? There's no need for him. But you talk about the Ravens. I think the Packers are a more desperate team to get DK. But you talk about DK's fit in Baltimore. I think it's a great fit, even though it's a run-first team. All right, with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. You look at the physicality DK plays with. He's a willing blocker. I mean, look, he loves hitting people, sometimes a little too late. But hey, that's kind of, I think that's what you want if you're Baltimore. Rather have a guy that's too physical than too soft. I think he would fit the culture. He'd be a great big body receiver. Like, I like Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers, though, a more shifty right receiver. Gets open more with his speed and quickness. You give Lamar a big dude that just you throw it in the vicinity and DK's coming down with it. Yeah, that's Lamar, Derrick Henry, DK Metcalf, Zay Flowers. Man. Yeah, Jay, you're right. If that crew with that defense as well can't beat the Chiefs, pack it up in Baltimore. Pack it up, burn it down, start over. This ain't it. That's I think a great fit for DK Metcalf. 855-212-4227. Let's go to Jerry calling from New Hampshire. What's up, Jerry?
Hey, good morning. Thanks for taking the call.
Of course,
man. I agree with you as far as, the Packers having a good core offense that, DK could get them right there. But, the team that I would really think needs a good receiver is the Patriots for Drake May. I mean, you got to start building some kind of receiving core, quarterback core to get over that hump. They're in the rebuilding stage as far as I'm concerned. Didn't they have a good year last year? But I think, if they can get him dirt cheap like that, I think the Patriots should be after him.
2 reasons why, Jerry, I don't think it's going to happen. Number one, from the early reports, I think it makes sense as well considering the situation DK Metcalf was in Seattle. I think he's going to try to go to a contender. Right now, Patriots are not there. Long ways away in terms of trying to build up. I mean, obviously, he'd help the receiving core, which they need help with, but the offensive line needs a lot of help. Like, Patriots, I think, are still a little bit away there from being a contender where DK would say, yes, I'm going there. But I'm going to put you on hold, Jerry, because I want you to hear this. Because actually, DK Metcalf already spoke about possibly going to the Patriots. Take a listen to this. This is from the Casuals podcast. He was asked his thoughts about possibly playing in New England.
I think you would really like living in Massachusetts. Do you have any, do you agree, you think?
No.
What? You couldn't see yourself ever living in Massachusetts?
Look at how long it's taking you to say the word. No. No, it's not a desirable place in my opinion. I said great organization.
Yes, of course.
Great organization.
Some may say the best. Massachusetts would be so happy to have.
Let's be on their payroll because you pushing them hard.
Sorry, Jerry. I think you could say DK Metcalf out because, in part, Massachusetts is too damn long, too much of a mouthful. If the Patriots are in Ohio and boom, Ohio, quick, right out there, out of the mouth, 1 syllable, boom, Ohio. Maybe he's there, but you can blame. I guess our founding fathers, I don't really know who named the states, to be honest with you. It's probably something I should know. I don't know who named the states, but whoever named Massachusetts. Blame them, Jerry, as to why DK Metcalf's not coming to the Patriots. Too damn long, too many syllables for the man whose name is simply DK. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Here's what we'll do. We'll take a quick break. We want to continue to get your thoughts here on the team that needs DK Metcalf the most. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. You can also tweet me, Ryan_Hickey3. We also had a caller before, Jay, bring up the Chiefs and how everyone's gunning for them in the AFC. Well, the Chiefs made a move on Wednesday. They traded their all-pro guard, Joe Thuney, to the Bears. Is there actual reason to be concerned about the Chiefs? Well, I'll tell you. Well, the answer is yes when we do return. It's Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Thank you for making us a part of your morning. So we learned yesterday, Chiefs traded their all-pro guard Joe Thuney to the Bears. I think now this makes the Chiefs the most vulnerable they've been in the Patrick Mahomes era. Because there's right now a legitimate concern about the current state of their offensive line. And as we just saw in the Super Bowl, doesn't matter how good your quarterback is. If you can't block, you can't win. And now when you look at this Chiefs offensive line, the left side is a liability. And I don't know how it improves in 2025. The early idea for the Chiefs in 2025 to protect the blind side of Patrick Mahomes is this. Move their second round pick, the rookie last year out of BYU, Kingsley Su'Matai, who was drafted out of BYU to play tackle, got benched because he was not very good. The plan is to play him at guard next year, a position in which he played week 18 when the backups were in for the Chiefs last year, otherwise has never played that position. So you're going to put a guy out of position now at guard and then try to fill left tackle in free agency. Just to give you a little bit of a primer here as free agency starts next week, here are the options for the Chiefs at left tackle in free agency. First name you hear, I'm sure, is going to be Ronnie Stanley. Former Ravens left tackle, very talented player. Problem is he can't stay on the field. Guys missed 36 games over the course of the last 5 years. He's been in the NFL 9 years. He's had one season in which he's played every game. 1 out of 9. Now, it happened to be last year. 2024 was his first healthy season of his career. But again, 1 out of 9. You tell me, is that the rule or the anomaly? I'm going to say the anomaly. To bank on Ronnie Stanley being available for 17 regular season games plus however many playoff games the Chiefs play, I think is unrealistic. So Stanley's talented, but very injury prone. Cam Robinson, former Vikings left tackle, he's decent. He's okay. Like, you're not going to write home to mom about that. Mahomes is not going to drop back and be fearless because Cam Robinson's out there locking down his blind side. And I don't think they're going to try to draft a rookie left tackle for the second year in a row in the draft. So there's going to be a real vulnerability here for the Chiefs on the most important side of their line. They got to block the blind side of Patrick Mahomes. This team is gettable. Going into 2025, barring an unexpected trade that nobody sees happening, which I don't think is really not even realistic, in part because the reason why the Chiefs had to trade Joe Thuney in the first place was because they don't have enough salary cap room to keep him and the rest of the offensive linemen that they're trying to pay. They're in a little bit of a tight squeeze here, money-wise. I don't see how this offensive line gets better. I don't see how it gets shored up. And so the Chiefs, to me, are gettable because that blind side of Mahomes is anything but secure. This feels like the most gettable the Chiefs have been since Mahomes really took over the spot in 2018. Now it's up to the Bills, the Ravens, Chargers, whoever, to get the job done. Still got to prove it, still got to do it on the field, but at least looking at 2025 and the state of that offensive line, this feels like the best chance for those teams in the AFC that have been knocking on the door for years and getting it slammed shut in their face because the Chiefs said, no thanks, get back in line. We're going to the Super Bowl again this year. This feels like their best chance. Bills, Ravens, Bengals, This feels like your year to finally get it done. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. You can also tweet me, Ryan_Hickey3. We've talked a lot so far. We've talked LeBron. I think for me, when you see him reach 50,000 points for his career, it feels like the most unbreakable record we've seen in sports. When you look at the longevity, the consistency, the health it takes to get to that point, it feels like the safest record in sports right now. We also talked about the best team, or the team that needs DK Metcalf the most. I think it's the Packers. They need a number one wide receiver. They also need a guy to help bring the confidence back from Jordan Love. He did not have his swagger last year. I think in part was because he didn't trust the guys he's throwing the ball to. DK comes in. I think he can not only elevate the offense, I think he can get Jordan Love back to that 2023 second half version we saw of Love play great down the stretch, blow out the Cowboys in the playoffs, and nearly beat the 49ers in Santa Clara to go to the NFC title game. That Jordan Love is in there somewhere. It did not show up in 2024. You get DK Metcalf in Green Bay, I think we see that Jordan Love in 2025 and beyond. 855-212-4227. Let's go down to Dallas, talk to Kevin. You're on the Infinity Sports Network. What's up, Kev?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I won't take too much of your time. I think the same reason that you get for him going to Green Bay is why I would like to see him in Washington with Daniels, is to settle him down and probably, I mean, if they're going to contend with Philadelphia, they got to do something there. The
problem, though, Kev, is they already got a receiver. They just traded for Deebo Samuel. I know they didn't give up a lot, but like,
right, they didn't give up much. And Deebo, I think, is a number 2. I don't think he's a number 1. But yeah,
the problem though is for the Commanders, Kev, they have a lot of other issues. Their defense needs a lot of work, and so because of the Deebo trade, and he has like $20 million in his cap, so like, that's taking up some space. I think the Commanders kind of screwed themselves here. They jumped the gun too early, and now I think they took themselves out of the DK race just because they have other positions that got to show up.
Yeah. Real quick, also, I think a record that'll never be broken is going to be Nolan Ryan's 7 no-hitters just because of pitch counts.
Fair. You're right. And we've seen how many pitchers get taken out, right, Kev, when they have no-hitters or perfect games because they're at that magic 100 pitch number. That's a good one. That's a good one. I think also the wins record for pitchers, right, is probably pretty safe because no one values wins. So pitchers aren't going routinely 5-6 innings anymore. They're not getting 20 wins a year. Baseball's a different world. No doubt about it. 855-212-4227. So earlier in the show, we discussed, frankly, the disgustingness coming out of the University of Miami, where at their baseball stadium, they offered fans this week a custom shake, like a milkshake, that was a vanilla milkshake that had a literal Philly cheesesteak on top of it. Because Miami was playing Villanova, so they wanted a little Philly flavor. So they decided, how are we going to do that? Let's put a Philly cheesesteak with the meat, the bread, the whiz, onions, peppers, put it in the milkshake, physically in the milkshake. To discuss more about that, let's go right to the source. Let's go to Miami. Alex is there. What's up, Alex?
Hey, what's up, man? Thank you for taking my call.
Of course, dude. What's on your mind, man?
My daughter goes to UM. She actually went to the game, and she sent me a picture. She texted me a picture of the actual shake of the thing.
Did she have it?
And on the bottom of it, she put disgusting.
Okay.
It really did look disgusting, so I totally agree with you. That's crazy.
Did she try it?
No, she didn't buy it. No.
Oh, she just took a picture of it like at the stand or whatever. Ugh.
She took a picture of it because somebody beside her on the stands had it, but she just had to show it to me and how disgusting it was.
That is just, oh God. How do you go about, I'm just curious how you go eat it. Like, do you take a sip of because it's in there, it's in the milkshakes. I don't want
It's disgusting, man. There's no way to put it. I will tell you this though. When I go to New York, the first thing I do is I go for pizza. When people come here to Miami, they go for a shake automatically. There's 2 places. There's
I guess I'm sorry, what are the places, Alex? My bad.
There's a place called Little Havana where a lot of Cubans live.
Right.
And there's a suburb called Hialeah where a lot of Cubans live as well. And the thing is that they make these shakes. They put cream cheese in the shakes. They put evaporated milk, condensed milk in it. It's basically a lot of sugar. It's basically a diabetic coma,
Yeah, no.
that you're drinking. But
it sounds like
it's pretty popular down here.
I am so uncultured, and thank you for culturing me, at least here on the show, Alex. I had no idea until you brought it up and Marco brought it up a few hours ago as well in the update that Miami's known for their shakes. I had no idea. One of my best friends moved to Miami now. He's been there 3 years. I still haven't visited him, which is number one on me. But number two is I had never would have known. I would have thought they've been known for like their Cuban food, the Cuban cigars, nightlife. I had no idea Miami was known for shakes. Things you know every single day. That also just is a light into my life. Unfortunately, the uncultured man that I am. Best friend is Miami. Haven't visited him yet in 3 years. And don't know the culture of some of the most popular cities in this country. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We're going to take a break. Still want to get to your thoughts here about DK Metcalf, team that needs him the most unbreakable record. Is it LeBron James's 50,000 career points? I think so. We'll get more into that. And also when we return here to wrap up the show, a big name was released in the NFL on Wednesday. I'll tell you, though, why it's buyer beware. We'll do that after we get this latest sports update from Marco Belletti.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
All right, the Raiders are trying to turn things around, and obviously Max Crosby will be a big part of that plan. Vegas giving Crosby a 3-year extension, $106.5 million. It includes $91.5 million in guaranteed money, makes him the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL, but Crosby vowing that money won't affect him.
It doesn't change my approach, you know what I mean? I'm still going to be here same time every single day and put the work in. That's just a byproduct of, the sacrifice that we do on a daily basis. So when I'm retired, whenever that day is, maybe go on a couple more vacations, but for the time being, I'm focused on being the best on the planet at what I do.
Elsewhere, the Chargers saving $25 million on the cap, reportedly released 5-time Pro Bowler Joey Bosa. DK Metcalf reportedly asking the Seahawks for a trade. Well, Seattle also released 10-year veteran Tyler Lockett. Cowboys able to free up $36.6 million off the cap by restructuring the contract with Dak Prescott, while the Bears reportedly sent a 4th rounder to the Chiefs in exchange for 2-time All-Pro guard Joe Thuney. NBA, Peyton Pritchard with a career night.
Peyton Pritchard's played 38 minutes, stop and start, goes to the left hand, scores off the window, and it's a first career 40-point game for Peyton Pritchard.
Pritchard with 43 in all. Derek White added a career-high 41. Celtics down the Blazers 128-118. Call courtesy of the Celtics Radio Network. Rest of the score is Cavs push their win streak to 12, outlast the Heat 112-107. Donovan Mitchell 26 is Cleveland, the first team to clinch a playoff spot. James Harden with 50 as the Clippers erase the Pistons 123-115. Thunder dispose the Grizzlies 120-103. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with 41. Bucks dominate the Mavericks 137-107. Giannis Antetokounmpo 32 points, eclipsing 20,000 career points. Nuggets rallied by the Kings 116-110. T-Wolves ripped the Hornets 125-110. And the Wizards got past the Jazz 125-122. College hoops, Ole Miss stunned 4th-ranked Tennessee 78-76. Florida outlisted Alabama 99-94. Maryland topped Michigan 71-65. Texas Tech knocked off Colorado 91-75. Clemson erased Boston College 78-69. Oklahoma surprised Missouri 96-84, while UConn took out Marquette 72-66. And Alex Ovechkin, career goal number 885, now 10 away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's all-time record. Capitals outlast the Rangers 3-2 in overtime. I'm Marco Belletti.
Hey, it's Maggie. We're talking about the NFL all this week on the Infinity Sports Network. Check us out 24/7 on your local affiliate or the Odyssey app.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
And welcome back into the show. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Thank you for making us a part of your Thursday. So I told you there was a player, a big name player, that was released on Wednesday, and it's buyer beware. The player is Joey Bosa. That's a guy, now that he was released by the Chargers on Wednesday, that's a player you have to view as buy low and hope to God you can sell high. Because you can't expect to sign Joey Bosa and have him be the finishing piece to your team. The last thing you need to win a championship, to be your cornerstone on your defensive line, because he's not healthy enough to do that. He's not playing enough to be that reliable player. Bill Barnwell does a great job covering the NFL for ESPN. He put this out there about Joey Bosa and his lack of availability over the last 3 seasons. So Joey Bosa's missed 23 games the last 3 years, about 8 games per year he's missed on average. On top of those 23 games missed, add on another 3 games he left early because of injury. Then on top of that, add another 10 games in which he played under 50% of the snaps. So you take away games in which he's missed because of injury, got injured, or was on a snap count. The last 3 seasons, Joey Bosa has been at full health and full go in just 17 games. 17 games in the last 3 years, you've gotten the full Joey Bosa out there in a game. How can he be reliable? He's not getting healthier as he gets older. This is a guy with a lot of talent and obviously has a big last name. But the production just doesn't match it anymore. The production doesn't match, I think, the hype he's going to get. That's a guy where, honestly, if you sign Joey Bosa, what you're truly doing is taking a flyer. That's all you can do. You can't give him a big deal. You can't give any sort of responsibility in terms of production or expectation. Because all he's proven the last 3 years is he's good at getting hurt, good at standing on the sideline in sweats, not contributing. If you sign him, the goal should be, I hope you get average production. That's all. I hope he stays healthy for most of the year, plays 14 games, gives you something. Anything more than average defensive end production for Joey Bosa should be considered a win. All right, we got more than we bargained for. But that's not a guy that I think you sit there and say, okay, Joey Bosa's out there. Woo, we're the Bills. We need a premier pass rusher. We're going to get you, Joe, and you're going to be our missing piece. No way. Joey Bosa would just end up like Von Miller 2.0. Big name, little production. Now, so the 49ers were a popular team that's being bandied about here because Joey's talked about in the past of wanting to play with his brother Nick if the opportunity ever presented itself. If you're the 49ers, depth piece, okay. But that's it. That can't be, okay, we got the Bosa brothers, and now, watch out, we got the most fearsome defensive line in the league. It's sad, but he's just not around enough. He's not healthy enough to have that thought. And so that's why, again, you'll see the headlines. If you maybe missed it last night, it broke pretty late, like 10 o'clock Eastern. On Wednesday night, the Chargers released it. So maybe you're just waking up hearing this news for the first time. All I'm saying is don't get too excited. Don't be, daydream about Joey Bosa coming in here and being a wrecking force like he was at Ohio State, because he hasn't been a wrecking force since he was a Buckeye. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. Who is a wrecking force? A wrecking ball, if you will. In the NFL is DK Metcalf. Guy's a stud. Produces, unlike Bosa, is available, and now he's out there for trade. Seahawks have granted him permission to seek a trade. I think for me, the team that should be the most aggressive, a team that needs DK Metcalf on their team the most, is the Green Bay Packers. I think he's a perfect fit there. I think he helps make Jordan Love a better quarterback, get some confidence back. I think to me it's a no-brainer. Packers should be all in. Reportedly, it only takes about a third-round pick to get DK in your team. Do whatever it takes to get the 2-time Pro Bowler out of Ole Miss on your squad. I think if you're Packers fans, if you're Brian Gutekunst, if you're Matt LaFleur, that'll be one signing, one giant swing that usually the Packers don't take around this time that you will not regret. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. I think it's the Packers. Who, though, do you think is a team that needs DK Metcalf the most on their squad? Jerry's calling from South Carolina. What's up, Jerry?
Hey, Ryan. Good. Thanks for taking my phone call. How you doing this morning?
Good, buddy. What's on your mind, man?
Good. Yes, I think the team said the Packers at the top of the list. I think the next best team would be the Chargers. Justin Herbert needs a big body receiver in Jim Harbaugh's offense to stretch that defense. Man, they add DK go along with Ladd, the receiver they drafted last year out of Georgia, man, that would be a dynamic duo there for Justin to throw the ball to, because that probably be the missing piece for the Chargers to help Justin Herbert out as he continue his development there in Jim Harbaugh's offense.
You're right, Jerry. I appreciate the call, and I like that suggestion because there's a few things, right, working in that favor, and why, like, I have the Packers 1 in terms of the team that needs them the most. I think I would easily say 2 is the Chargers. Number 1, go back to the playoff game we just saw. Holy smokes from Justin Herbert. That was ugly against the Texans. He was bad himself. I think part of the reason, though, he was not great was the fact that, again, Ladd McConkey is solid but a slot receiver. Quentin Johnston is your deep ball threat, but the guy drops the ball half the time you throw it to him. He couldn't catch a cold in Antarctica for half the year. He's not reliable whatsoever. You bring DK Metcalf in, they're kind of similar to what we talked about with Jordan Love. I think it gives Justin Herbert a confidence in the guy he's throwing the ball to that he never had before. Even like Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Those guys are always banged up. DK's out there every year. He produces every year. He has, I should say, 900 yards receiving at least in all 6 of his seasons. So he's consistently productive, finds the end zone, big body receiver, fast, great catch radius. Like, he checks every box you could possibly want for the most part from a number 1 receiver. And I think what it also does here is help the run game. Because I think even though Jim Harbaugh has Justin Herbert, I think still Jim wants to win games primarily by being physical up front and running the football. Kind of similar to how he had with Michigan. When they won the national championship, really those 3 years, they turned the program around, beat Ohio State in the playoff, won the Big Ten. They did that by running the ball first and playing great physical defense. I think Jim, when it's all said and done, is trying to build the Chargers in that light. But still, it does not hurt to have, right, a great receiver to help your quarterback out, to lighten the box, to open up the run game. I think it's a great fit for DK in LA. Stays on the West Coast. And the Chargers get a weapon in terms of trying to, capitalize off of what I think is the vulnerability of the Chiefs with their offensive line concerns going into 2025. You give yourself a chance, a true chance here to actually make some bones and to make some noise and give the Chiefs a run for their money. 855-212-4227. The best landing spot, the team I should say, maybe put it better, the team that needs DK Metcalf the most. Let's go to Baltimore where Scott is there. What's up, Scott?
Hey, thanks for taking my call, guys.
Of course, buddy. What's going on?
I'm going to have to say it's, favoritism, but DK and purple would look amazing. And I'll tell you what, Lamar, that big body receiver going with Zay Flowers and Bateman right there, my gosh. It could be amazing there, and hopefully Mikey Mack over there in Seattle gives Baltimore some love, X-Ravens coach, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that will be on his mind, Scott, but I would agree with you in the sense of, I agree, and thank you for the call, buddy, with the sense, I think DK would be a good culture fit in Baltimore. Even though it's a run-first team, he's a physical receiver. He doesn't mind throwing his body around, hitting some DBs. I think he'd be a willing run blocker. I think he'd be a good fit, even though, again, that's a run-first team with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. He's not going to get as many balls his way as he did in Seattle. I think he would fit. And again, when you look at what Lamar could use in the passing game, Zay Flowers is more of a shiftier slot guy who relies on his speed. You give just that physical presence on the outside. You give that to Lamar. Whew. You talk about good luck and that offense being unstoppable. I don't know what the hell defenses do to slow down Baltimore. I don't think Baltimore views themselves as desperate, so I don't think they're going to be aggressive in trying to get after DK Metcalf. But if somehow he lands in Baltimore, that's an offense that will be the best in the league, no doubt about it. It is Ryan Hickey with right here on the Infinity Sports Network. I don't mean to end the show on I don't know if it's a downer per se, but I'm going to use it as a spin as a positive here and just highlight toughness. So Pro Football Talk reported just a few hours ago that Eagles defensive end Brandon Graham re-tore his triceps in the Super Bowl. Now, this is according to 97.5 The Fanatic out there in Philly. Now, if you remember, he tore his triceps against the Rams in about November or so. And that should have been an injury that ended his season. But he always kind of talked about if they make the Super Bowl, I'll be back. So who knows how healthy he actually was. He only played 13 snaps in the Super Bowl win over the Chiefs. But somehow in those 13 snaps, he, again, according to 97.5 The Fanatic, he tore his triceps again. That's toughness beyond just normality. To tear triceps, he got surgery on it. Clearly was nowhere near 100%. Still said it's a Super Bowl. I'm playing. Retore it again and did not say anything. And the first time he tore his triceps, he broke the news himself in the locker room, standing there with his shirt off and saying, yeah, by the way, my triceps popped, so I guess I'm done for the year. Cool as could be. No agony on his face. Nothing. After the Super Bowl, right? There's millions of videos of the Eagles locker room celebrating. None of them did I see Brandon Graham crying tears of pain in the corner nursing his triceps. That's toughness. To do that, I can't even imagine how much that must hurt. And just keep on trucking, not say a word until almost a month later. Good for you. Now, I wonder if this is going to be the end of his career. If I'm Brandon Graham at 36 years old, after tearing my triceps twice, winning a Super Bowl, I'm calling it a career. I'm saying I'm done. He's not under contract, so it's going to be kind of tough for the Eagles to re-sign him. But boy, oh boy, that is toughness personified. That'll do it for this edition of the show. Big thank you to Pete Bellotti for producing. A big thank you to you. Thank you for choosing us here to spend a few minutes of your Thursday morning with. This is Ryan Hickey right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Coming back tomorrow. Same time, 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., 11 p.m. Pacific to 3 a.m. We will be back with you then. Thank you for tuning in. Don't go anywhere. Maggie Perloff is next. It's been Ryan Hickey. Have a great Thursday. We'll talk to you tomorrow right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break.